Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the August 8th, 2023 Town Council meeting. I would ask that we stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of
the United States of America,
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. At this time, I would ask that we take a moment of silence to reflect on all that's been happening in the world and around us. I have to announce that this meeting is being recorded by LCAT, and I would ask if there's anyone in the audience, audio or video recording. Seeing none. Public comments. Jeannie.
Yes, Carol Kelly has requested to be in public comments tonight. Okay.
Great. Carol, if you want to come up, if you just state your name and address for the record.
Carol Kelly, 17 Melwood Avenue in town. Yeah, I have some concerns about the condition over at the Heritage Park Playground and the adjacent ball field. A couple months ago, I took my grandchildren over there, 5 and 9. The 9-year-old wanted to use the rock wall. We have a rock wall over there. I asked her why she wasn't using it, and she said, "Grandma, I tried, but there's too many missing and there's too many that are broken." She couldn't use it. And here I turn my attention to the 5-year-old, and they have a roller log that you stand up on and supposedly hold on to grab bars and you roll the thing around. She couldn't do that either because one grab bar was just not there. There were holes where it should be, but it wasn't there. Then we went over to the swings. And again, this is the first time I've been to this place since my daughter was young, a long time ago. And we went over to the swings, and because there is no ground cover, it's just dirt. There used to be apparently wood chips, but they have since, they're gone. There are gullies under the swings. She had to be lifted into the swing. And when I pulled back on the chains of the swing, there's rust all over my hands. So this is clearly needs some attention from someone. I have from the National Program for Playground Safety. They have some recommendations, and I'd be happy to leave a copy of this with you to look at. I hope somebody would, because it's a safety that's involved with the kids over there, particularly with the ground covering. They recommend 12 inches of fill be on the ground around all the equipment. We have nothing. A statistic here that falls from a height of 8 feet into dirt for a child is the same as that child hitting a brick wall traveling 30 miles an hour. We have nothing on the ground. And the adjacent ball field, I don't know what to tell you about that other than the fence is pathetic. Just if you have nothing to do when you're driving down that way, drive in there, look at the ball field and look at the fence. Just like this, the poles on it, it's rusting. And then just take a minute and drive back to the playground and look over there. It's a shame. You know, we shouldn't have this. What I would hope would happen is somebody addresses the issue and fixes the problem, or I really think we should shut it down for safety reasons, as recommended by the National Safety Program. So I don't know what else to tell you. Other than I never knew there was a problem there until I went back there. And I think that's as most residents feel. They just don't go back there. And it's a beautiful park. There's no reason it shouldn't be kept up. So I appreciate your listening to me, and I hope we do something about it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If you could leave that information with.
I most certainly will.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Council comments? Comments? Any thoughts?
Any questions? I think it's a question. Really, it's a nice park, and I don't think we've ever done anything in terms of maintenance to it. Particularly the ground cover. I mean, that's obvious. If it rains, you're going to be walking in mud all over the playground.
So I do have a comment. We're in the process of looking at rehabbing the entire park. We're in the engineering and design phase right now to redo the whole thing, which will include all the equipment, may include a splash pad, rec center. But even with that, looking out to the future being done, I do understand what you're saying, and I think we have to take a close look at the maintenance of what's there and see if there's any fixes that can be done. And like you said, there may be an instance where we have to take something out because we're not able to fix it. But instead of leaving it there and potential hazard, definitely appreciate you pointing it out. I will tell you, I haven't been over there in years.
I wouldn't either if the 9-year-old hadn't said, "Oh, a rock climbing wall, let's go." Okay, all right.
Nope,
I can't use it.
definitely appreciate it because without the information,
Thank you.
the counselors don't know. And like I said, we'll look into it and see what we can do.
And again, most importantly, if we fix the problem, the most important thing is the maintenance. It has to be regularly scheduled maintenance, or the same thing's just going to happen.
Right.
Thank you.
So I do have a couple comments. One, I'm going to steal a little thunder from our town manager. I went over to the National Night Out and I found it absolutely impressive. The attendance, the weather, everything was absolutely perfect. The children were there having a blast, whether it be climbing on the fire engine or the trucks out front or in the bounce houses all the way in the back. It was a great event, and you know, the people that helped put it on should be very proud. Great job with it. Another comment, our community gardens, although most of them have been flooded and the gardens are hurting pretty good. Sarah, who's in charge of them, has been sending me photographs of boxes of vegetables being donated to the Council of Aging. I think it's amazing that they're getting that much out of it based on standing water and all that are in the gardens. So kudos to them. Awesome job. And then the third and last, this afternoon, I was privileged enough to go to the Green Communities designation in Southwick. It's a wonderful turnout, 4 communities. Bailey was with me. Very nice job. They did a great job presenting, and like I said, the more to come on that.
Did you come on with a check or?
No,
That's your
somehow
job.
they didn't trust me to take the check, but okay. Moving forwards, we have a town manager report.
We do. Good evening. Yep. So the first one is Stolen Thunder National Night Out. It was a great night. Ralph's right. It was very well attended. The weather was gorgeous. We had over 40 vendors. I don't know, eight of the departments, I think, had tents. Historical Commission. So it really was a great job by the volunteers to put the event on, but also for people coming out and showing up. And it was a great night. It really was. The legislature passed the fiscal 24 budget, I guess late last week or yeah. So that's, we're waiting to see that. We got an email from DLS with the preliminary cherry sheet estimates that I attached to this report. Obviously the big one was the Chapter 70 receipts, an extra or $2 million over what we got in fiscal 23. So hopefully that gets squared away soon. We had a promotion in the fire department. Matthew Tarowski was promoted to the role of captain. Matt's been on been a career firefighter for almost 9 years now, and he was a call firefighter before that. So, congrats to Matt. It was quite the process. All internal candidates, much like the police department. We have very talented departments here, and Matt, good for him with that promotion. HR is going to start distributing a quarterly newsletter. Also attached to this is that first one this summer. Just trying to keep everybody sort of up to date on the ever-changing world of human resources, as well as comings and goings and things of that nature. Cheapers.
Sorry.
So another one, Bailey and Ralph attended the ceremony in Southwick today for the Green Communities designation. I was unable to attend, but I'm glad they did. It sounds like it was a great event. And so we're along with the designation, we received a grant of just over $160,000. So we're kind of going through our plans to see if we have a project. We're pretty much ready to go because I think we have to apply within 90 days of the letter. So I'm sure Bailey's already working on that submittal. We have a guest tonight from Westfield Gas and Electric, Whip City Fiber. We continue to talk with them, negotiating, using their services to bring fiber to the home. So they have a brief presentation tonight, I think, to sort of let everybody know where we stand. We also have the design team from Jones Whitsitt Architects for the school building project. They're here tonight to sort of just kind of go over the council's role in the vote in that procedure. But I just wanted to we're getting down towards crunch time here, and just want people to start looking into the website. It's eastlomeadowma.gov/ELHS building project. All the information you can need is on there. The building committee is still meeting tirelessly to try to get this all done, and a good project to put forth for the vote. The cases against the town brought by the former dispatchers have been dismissed. The first one was a summary judgment in favor of the town. The last three, I think, saw the writing on the wall and withdrew their cases. We also had East Long Meadow Redevelopers LLC filed a complaint in the land court against the planning board regarding 330 Chestnut Street. So we'll be meeting with Jesse and Bailey and the planning board in the coming days to get that all squared away. DPW, a whole list of things from DPW. I'll just hit some of the big stuff. That Shaker Road project, Mass DOT's RAP program, the Winter Assistance Recovery, that's complete from Cartamundi to just before Chestnut Street intersection. Not a very huge piece of land for $350,000, but we continue to do what we can do with paving around town. Porter Road Bridge rehab right by over by Fenway Golf. That project is complete on time and on budget. And the North Main Street metering vault that's almost done. I think there's just some punch list items to finish up with that. That's for so we can get some more accurate flow rates on the sewer going out of town with Springfield. Council on Aging here continues to be the most hopping place in town. Their programs every day, every hour, it seems. There are 412 new members just in this year, first half of this year alone. They're doing a farmer's market every second and fourth Friday through September from 10 to 2. And then another point from Don and Jamie and Ed Fitzgerald and Eric Amarola did the Stories from the View podcast live at National Night Out, which was a pretty cool thing. There was a bunch of interesting guests. Chief Williams, Representative Brian Ash sat down and talked for a little bit. We found out he lived in East Long Meadow for a spell, which I didn't know. That was cool. So again, thanks for everybody for National Night Out. It was, hopefully we'll have a second annual live podcast next year. And then there's a couple applications for appointment to boards and commissions. One for the Board of Library Trustees, which is on that list in Article 5 of the charter, giving you the power to sort of reject that appointment if you see the need to. That's did I say that? Larry Bowman. Me and Katie both met with him. Nice guy, passionate. So he looks like a good fit. So if you guys feel like waiving that Article 5, that'd be great. If you feel the need to. We also appointed Jason Gumpert to the Conservation Commission and Barbara Farrell reappointed to Council on Aging. And that's it. If you got any questions, I'd be happy to answer them if I could.
I don't have a question, but I would like to make a comment with the Porter Road Bridge rehabilitation. I thought it went very smoothly. It just so happened I was working in Wilbraham for 2 weeks. To drive by it 5 times a day. They did a great job with it. It looks wonderful. Like I said, I thought the project went quick.
Yeah.
It looked like about 3 weeks from start to finish or something, which was amazing.
Yep.
It was a great job. Connor?
That was going to be my same comment. It actually came out really smooth, and I was impressed with how you finished it.
Oh, that's right. You're right around the corner there. How does the council feel with regards to the appointment of the library trustee?
I'll make the motion if we feel the pleasure.
Please.
Well, I move to waive the council's remaining veto period for the appointments as presented in the town manager report.
Second.
Any discussion? None. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Actually, Jeannie, do I have to do a roll call vote? Because
That's right, she's remote. I'll roll call votes for everything.
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 You're welcome.
Okay, roll call. Knowing everyone's voting for it. Anna.
Yes.
Matt.
Yes.
I am a yes. Marilyn.
Yes.
Connor.
Yes.
John.
I'm a yes.
And Kathy.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I forget that all
It's
the time.
okay.
Thank you for the report.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to move on. Communications, correspondence, and announcements. So we received today from the House of Representatives a proclamation. The Commonwealth of Massachusetts, the House of Representatives, be it hereby known to all that the Massachusetts House of Representatives offers its sincerest congratulations to the town of East Long Meadow in recognition of being designated as a green community and for continuing to reduce energy consumption and implement green initiatives to achieve climate goals. The entire membership extends its very best wishes and expresses the hope for future good fortune and continued success in all endeavors. Given this 8th day of August 2023 at the State House, Boston, Mass. Speaker of the House, Ronald Mariano, State Representative Angela Pupolo, and State Representative Brian Ash. So this was very nice. Unexpected today. They came up after the meeting and wanted to make sure that we had this. And I told them it worked out perfect because we had a meeting tonight. So the timing couldn't be better. Okay, we have public hearings tonight. So the first public hearing is for the First Congregational Church's window project August 8th, 2023, 6:15. This is continued from July 11th, 2023. This is a continuation of a public hearing to approve $40,000 from the Community Preservation Act Historical Fund account for the First Congregational Church Window Project. Council members present are Anna Jones, Matt Boucher, Ralph Page, Marilyn Richards, Connor O'Shea, John Torsha, and Kathy Hill. I would ask the clerk to read the legal notice into the record.
The East Long Meadow Town Council will hold a public hearing on July 11, 2023 at 6:30 p.m. in the media room on the Council on Aging located at 328 North Main Street to address a Community Preservation Act application for the First Congregational Church Window Project. Information relating to this application is available for review by the public in the town clerk's office and on the town's website. The public hearing may also be attended via Zoom webinar with the below link. For the council, Jean R. Quaglietti, town clerk, clerk of the council.
So if you remember at our last meeting, the CPC came forwards and presented a project, some questions with regards to the project. It's my understanding that they're going to be amending the project. So instead of replacement of the windows, it will be a restoration. They're doing that for historical purposes to try and keep the building as historical as possible. As of yet, from what I understand, they don't have the updated cost of it. And I would like to make sure that the Community Preservation Committee reaffirms their vote based on the new cost and based on the fact that they'll be restoring the windows instead of replacing them. So I asked their chairman to get that information, make sure they go back and take care of that. Did the council have any questions?
I know last time you mentioned like waiting for the full legal opinion. Did we ever get that as well?
So the legal opinion came in and there was concerns over the replacement of the windows. They felt as though that may not fit the actual historical criteria, but the restoration would fit. And again, I didn't ask our attorney to go any further with as far as putting a deed restriction on, because I'm trying to wait for them to come back with the numbers, make sure the CPC still wants the project, and then we'll go forwards with that. But it would be my thought that we look to continue this to September and give them another month to come up with everything. Being a public hearing, though, I do have to open it to the public to see if there's any questions or comments with regards to it. Seeing none, we're going to bring it back to the board.
Were you expecting anyone from the church to, or the CPC committee to attend?
No, I talked to Tony Zampacini, and he said without any of the information, he would just like us to continue it.
Okay.
So with that, would there be a motion to continue the public hearing till September
Well,
12th at
6:15.
6:15
Well,
p.m.
Kathy has a question.
Kathy,
I could wrap it into the discussion. Seeing that now it will be the middle of September before we are able to vote on it and likely approve it. Does that push off the actual work to be done? Because at that point, they'll be fighting the oncoming winter? Or is it conceivable that they could squeak it in? And again, nobody can predict what the weather's going to be, but what's the feasibility of that?
that I couldn't tell you. I'm not sure. I just want to make sure that the project's done correctly, especially with it being a church. I know there's been concerns throughout the preservation committee and everything. So I'd rather make sure ours is done. If they have to push it off till the spring, at least they know the funds are there if we approve it. So entertain a motion to continue the public hearing to September 12th at 6:15 p.m.
So moved.
Second.
Everybody.
Perfect. Kathy moved it. Is there a second?
Second.
Having a motion seconded, is there any further discussion on it? Hearing none, I will do a roll call vote. Anna,
Yes.
Matt,
Yes.
I am a yes. Ralph Page, Marilyn Richards.
Yes.
Connor,
Yes.
I'm
abstaining.
Don abstains, and Kathy.
Yes.
Okay. 6 yes and 1 abstention. Okay. We are going to. We have 3 minutes.
Is it? I can't.
Probably by the time we're ready, 3 minutes will be up, you think?
We can move to minutes and then. I think.
You wanted them to be.
I know. All right, I'll eat my words.
Then I would move to take 8C out of order.
I move that we move out of order to 8C until 6:30, and then we return to the regular order of the agenda.
For a second.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Hearing none. Roll call vote. Anna?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Marilyn?
Yes.
Connor?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
Okay, we're on 8C, approval of minutes then. So we have the June 23rd, 2023 executive session minutes. Is there a motion to approve?
Yep.
I'll back you up.
I make a motion to approve the June 23rd, 2023 executive session minutes.
Second time.
Motion made and seconded. Is there any discussion on them?
I obviously wasn't a member, so I'd have to.
Okay. So you will be.
Are you ever going to vote on?
Okay, we're going to do a roll call vote then. Anna,
Yes.
Matt,
Yes.
I am a yes. Marilyn,
Yes.
Connor,
Yes.
John, abstain, Kathy.
Yes.
Okay, those minutes are approved. 6-4, 1 abstention. We have the minutes of July 11th, 2023. Is there a motion?
I move to approve the July 11, 2023 open session minutes.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, we will do a roll call vote. Anna?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm a yes. Marilyn?
Yes.
Connor?
Yes.
Yes. Don's a yes. And Kathy?
Yes.
That passes 7-0. And how close are we?
Perfect timing.
I think we're okay.
I think we're okay. So at this time, we will go back to 7B, which is a public hearing to approve a change of category from wine and malt beverages on premises to an all alcoholic beverages on premises for Shaker Bowl. So this is a public hearing for a liquor license change of category from wine and malt beverages on premises, all alcoholic beverages on premises license for Shaker Bowl located at 168 Shaker Road. Council members present are Anna Jones, Matt Boucher, Ralph Pitt, Richards, Connor O'Shea, John Torsha, Kathy Hill. Ask the clerk to read the legal notice.
Notice is hereby given under Chapter 138 of the General Laws that Shaker Bowl Incorporated, DBA Shaker Bowl, 168 Shaker Road, East Long Meadow, has applied for a liquor license change of category from wines and malt beverages on premises, all alcoholic beverages on premises. The Town Council will hold a public hearing on the application on Tuesday, August 8, 2023 at 6:30 p.m. in the Council on Aging Media Room, 328 North Main Street, East Long Meadow. The hearing can also be attended via Zoom webinar. For the council, Jean R. Quaglietti, Town Clerk, Clerk of the Council.
Thank you. So at this time, we have the applicant. If you would be so kind to state your name for the record.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Josh Goldstein. I'm an attorney from the law firm Bacon Wilson, here on behalf of Shaker Bowl Inc. And alongside of me is Justin Godfrey, the manager of record. So as you know, we were here beginning of April doing the transfer. So now we wish to upgrade the existing liquor license from wine and malt beverages on premises to an all alcohol beverage on premise license. Now an all alcoholic beverage license is complementary to the business. Surely it's needed, and surely there's a need for it. And luckily there is one available. all employees who have the ability to serve alcohol at Shaker Bowl are tips trained and certified. Justin has been the manager of record since, I believe, 2000, so for over 20 years now, and he has never had a violation related to alcohol. He will continue to do what he's been doing and make sure the entire establishment acts in compliance with all laws and regulations promulgated by the ABCC and the town of East Longmeadow. The owners, of course, really care about the town of East Longmeadow as well. 5 out of 6 of the owners are residents of East Longmeadow, many of which have young children. So, of course, they want their customers and their residents to all have fun, but keeping everyone safe is a top priority of theirs. Now, if anyone has questions, we're more than willing to answer.
So just to clarify, it's been quite a few years since I've been in Shaker Bowl. If I remember right, there's a separate area for food and drink to be served.
Right.
And that's the only area that the alcohol is allowed in.
Correct.
In the whole building.
It's in the whole building.
Does council have any questions before I open it up to the public?
I'm okay with that. That was my concern.
Don, anything?
I think you can take the alcohol leave from the bar.
Yeah, you can.
I know that there's folks, I think, that can go to like other, like where they're playing. Yeah.
So, Jeannie, if I'm correct, the alcohol is supposed to be within that area. So in other words, you can't take it from where it's being served, bring it down and sit at the lanes and drink?
I believe you're supposed to keep.
You can do that, yes. Years ago, it didn't. Back when I first started, that there was an issue, but we've been through several times with that. So right now, you can bring it, as long as it's in the building.
Currently, the license reads as follows: on the following described premises, one room of approximately 1,000 square feet of usable floor space with comfort facilities for men and women, 15 by 150 foot area contiguous to the rear of the bowling lanes. Storage space, 110 square feet. No basement shown in the plan. So it says restrictions: alcoholic beverages to be consumed by patrons only while seated at dining tables and in the 15 by 150 foot area.
Could be the lanes.
Unless you consider, I know there's a seat
Behind the
So
lane.
is that
behind the lane.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Building would be about 150 feet.
So is it, this was a concern. Hi, Marilyn Richards. This was a concern I had with regard to an all alcoholic beverage license and a family environment at the bowling alley. And when I read the license, I was comfortable that it seemed to be in a controlled setting and you weren't bowling and drinking at the same time. So am I misunderstanding it, or can you do that?
Marilyn, could I approach, is it possible for someone from?
If you'd come up, please state your name for the record.
I'm the president of Shaker Bowl Inc. and one of the owners. I think the issue is the 15 by 150 are the tables that are behind the lanes. So it's the same as it's been for 22 years.
Okay.
I think the way it's spelled out, that's describing the tables that are behind the lanes.
Right here.
Yeah, no, I understand. I was just wondering. So it's the room of 1,000 square feet plus
the 15 by 100.
15 by-
Correct. There's tables behind every lane for people to put their beverages on.
May I?
Please.
Okay, I just have to ask, have you had any issues with drinking at that location and bowling and children?
No, to the best of my knowledge, and obviously this ownership group is new as of July 13th, but there's been no violations on the beer and wine. Really what this is about is that a lot of the new drinks that people enjoy consuming, they're still single served beverages, but they're not malt based. So things like High Noons and and stuff like that are vodka based. So we would still at this point in time stay to a single serve, setup. We wouldn't, be pouring Jack Daniel's bottles, but now, because it's not malt based, we can't currently offer them. So a lot of our guests are requesting these new kind of designer beverages, but they're not malt based. They're vodka.
I see.
Kathy, you have a question?
Not at all. No, I appreciate that clarification.
I'm just curious, and Jeannie or Kathy, you may be able to answer for me.
I see that.
I thought like in a bar setting, a restaurant setting, we're going to call it a bar. I thought there was no underage people allowed in the bar because of drinking. I mean, am I wrong in like sitting at the bar at the pizza shop? If you're underage, you're not
You're
supposed
not
to.
allowed to sit at the bar. Correct.
That's what I recall, the discussion. Minors couldn't sit at the bar.
That's correct. That's my understanding as well.
And I guess in my mind, I'm just thinking, what's the difference with you bringing a drink out and sitting next to the minor at the bowling alley?
I think it would be like,
Similar to
Served?
I'd say it's more
similar to sitting at a restaurant with your
like two tables next to each.
is a restaurant license. Yes.
Basically, the way the bowling alley is set up, your restaurant table is at the end of your lane. So the patron walks up, grabs their cocktail, or in this case, beer or wine at this point, and then walks back to their table. It's been the same since the 1978.
So I used to bowl at Shaker Bowl, and I always remember when we went in, they would go in, order a beer in the room, take a gulp of it, run out, bowl their lane, run back in and grab another drink. And that's where my thought process was. But that was also 25 years ago. So, Jeannie?
So at those tables behind the lanes, you can also eat your meal and
Yes.
now you're just drinking at the table.
Right,
No, that's
right.
where all the food is
Yeah.
delivered, and so they
Okay.
deliver the food to the tables at the end of the lanes, and they would have their beer and wine at this point.
Okay, Marilyn?
I don't bowl, so I haven't been in and ever.
Come on down. We'd love to have you.
But I appreciate this discussion. I just wanted to make sure that our kids are in a good environment when
Sure.
they come to play. I don't have any problem with this discussion based on what I'm reading on your license and what I'm hearing. And I would hope that you would just keep an eye on that, please.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thanks for your consideration.
So at this time, it is a public hearing. I'm going to open it up to the public. Does anyone from the public wish to speak, whether for or against this? Okay, seeing none. Don, is there anyone online?
No, sir.
Okay. So I will bring it back to the board at this time. So I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I move to close the public hearing.
I'll second that.
Motion made, seconded. Any discussion? This is a roll call vote. Anna?
yes.
Matt?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Marilyn?
Yes.
Connor?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And Kathy?
Yes.
Okay. Is there any discussion on going forwards with this, or I would entertain a motion for approval?
I'll make a motion.
Go for it.
I motion to approve a change of category from wine and malt beverages on premises to all alcoholic beverages on premises for Shaker Bowl Inc., doing business as Shaker Bowl.
I second.
Having a motion made and seconded, any discussion? Being none, we're going to do a roll call vote. Anna?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Marilyn?
Yes.
Connor?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
That's all set then.
Okay.
Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Josh, okay. Okay, great.
Yes. Manager's report can go.
Yeah.
Where's my cut?
They're not on, no, I'm talking about. Oh, that's.
Yeah,
Guess it's-
let me just pull it.
All right, okay.
Okay, we've, number 8, orders of the day, licensing matters. I think that's all set. Financial matters. Approve, remaining balances from completed capital projects to retained earnings. So we have, money for the sewer and the water. So if I understand right, we're closing the capital project. There's money left over, but it's staying within the enterprise fund as retained earnings.
Correct.
Okay. Would there be a motion for B1?
I make a motion to approve to close remaining balances from completed capital projects to retained earnings as presented for a total of sewer being 56,000 and water being 4,816.73.
I'll second that.
Made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. Roll call vote. Anna?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Marilyn?
Yes.
Connor?
Yes.
John? And Kathy?
I'm
And-
sorry, I was muted. Yes.
Okay. And then the next is a reserve fund transfer in the amount of $8,475 for the purchase of 5 pole pad bundles. Is there a motion?
I move to approve a reserve fund transfer in the amount of $8,475 for the purchase of 5 pole pad bundles and accessories.
I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded. Further discussion. So Jeannie, this is additional pole pads.
Right,
So we've already purchased 5. They worked awesome.
beautifully.
And we're looking to add so that each person per,
Precinct check-in would have 2, right? So last year I had requested 10 in my budget so that each precinct would have 2 poll pads, and I was grateful that 5 were approved. And we tried them out for the June election. They worked beautifully. The election workers loved them. The voters seemed to enjoy them. Our staff, the clerk staff, loved the post-election ease of voter history update. It saved days, hours of work. So we'd like
Voters
to have
like them.
Yeah. And so I'd like to have them, if approved, I could have them maybe for the November election. I think the turnaround time is 12 to 15 weeks.
Oh, wow.
okay.
The time we order. LHS Associates is aware that I'm going before you tonight for this request. So given the high November turnout expected and the high election year next year, it'd be step 2. I think the election workers would be comfortable each having 2 at each check-in. So there's no, backup, and we can move the voters along. So.
Okay. And question for Tom. I know I had suggested a reserve fund transfer because free cash isn't available until after it's certified. I'm assuming there was no issues with that.
Nope.
And us approving it was probably the best way to go.
Okay.
So we've got a motion made, seconded. My discussion's done.
This is just kind of a foolish question, but in terms of the process, if, hypothetically, any of these were to go down, we have kind of a paperback sort of option just in case.
So the state still requires that we have a paper voter registration list at check-in.
Yeah. But this
Along
just
with
helps
the
speed it up, basically.
Yes. Helps a great deal. Great deal.
I don't want to put a wrench in the works, but might it be a good moment to remind people to check their voter registration?
It would be. There was, thank you, Mr. Menike. At the June election, there were a high number of inactive voters, and that simply means you're a registered voter with the town, but you're considered inactive because you may think you returned your census form, but you may have not. So we do send out confirmation notices to just confirm with a signature that you still live in East Long Meadow. Those don't come back as many as we thought. So if you'd like to call the office to check your voter registration, or you can go on Check My Voter Registration. That's a state website that you can find easily and check your voter registration there. If you do still have your census form at home from 2023, please send it in and that will activate you again.
Perfect. And thank you.
Thank you.
Job done.
So this is a roll call vote. Anna,
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
I am a yes. Marilyn?
Yes.
Connor?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And Kathy?
Yes.
Awesome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Business. Oh, we have a review of the high school building process and project with the primary focus on how the voting and the town council involvement will work. We have the architect.
Oh, he's gonna do
Right.
it, right.
Thanks. Thanks for printing those.
Gee.
There, this is.
Ready? Got your full pads and you're out.
Yes.
Yeah,
See ya.
she's got her badge. She's done.
Oh, I'm sitting, I'm gonna have to move.
I can't help.
I'm never gonna be able to see.
We got the printouts.
That's why you have
And a couple pairs of glasses.
to put this somewhere.
Oh.
That's right.
Thing went.
Bang it.
Oh, there it is.
It's just
Whole entire.
Wow.
Oh, yes, it's there.
Where?
Wow.
Yeah, it's coming in.
Yeah,
But you can't, there, it's there.
but he needs to open the PowerPoint.
Yeah.
Coming on. Here we go.
Yeah.
It's just heating up.
Low, yes. I think the bulb is slowly coming.
Yeah, right.
That's for energy efficiency.
Correct.
Under the green communities, it's mandated. The 30-second delay.
Maybe you should get up there, change the light bulb before you got the little wood.
Don't want to get in your way. That's okay.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay. Floor is yours.
thank you. My name is Dory Brooks. This is Christian Whitsitt. We are the principal architects leading the design team, working with your owner's project manager, Skanska, on the feasibility study and schematic design of a core building project for East Long Meadow High School. We're the licensed design professionals that are of record for the project, should it be completed. We're here tonight to present an update on the project. First, I'd like to provide some background for those watching at home who are probably less informed than you are about the project thus far, to let you know how this project came about. Then we'll present an overview of the school building committee's conclusions and recommendations, and then we'll review the cost implications and local approval process. Please feel free to interrupt at any time if you have any questions as we go along, or if you prefer to hold, we can talk about any questions you have at the end. As you all know, our work to date has been conducted under a feasibility study contract paid for by the town and the Massachusetts School Building Authority. The MSBA offers competitive grants to school districts to support capital projects. This project is funded under the CORE program, meant to help districts with major renovation, addition, and new construction projects. Application to the CORE program is competitive. Applications are ranked according basically to how bad their situation is. The district has a need and is looking to have that need addressed. And there are a mix of factors that the MSBA uses in determining projects and their eligibility for the core program, including the age of the building, the amount of space per student, the current and projected enrollment, the condition of the major systems of the school, the general environment of the building, and the appropriateness of the building to the school's educational mission. The MSBA's financial contribution to the project comes from money raised from sales tax that we all contribute to. 1 penny of our 6.25% sales tax goes to MSBA grants. East Long Meadow School District applied to the MSBA for admission to the core program over 7 years ago. It was worthy of admission right away, but only 8 to 10 school projects are selected to join the core program. And it was, while this project was worthy of admission, it took 7 years for the project to be selected into the core program. The feasibility study and schematic design phase are 2 phases of what is now a 9-phase process. We couldn't even fit all the phases on the slide. That begins with eligibility and ends after the project is complete and the building is commissioned to be sure its systems are working as designed. Continuing on from this point depends on the district and MSBA coming to agreement on the scope and budget of the project and on the locality demonstrating ability and willingness to pay its share of the cost. Once the schematic design phase is complete, the next steps for the project involve the town council agreeing to bond for the cost and the community voting for a specific debt exclusion to allow borrowing beyond the Prop 2.5 borrowing limit. The current project schedule has a town council addressing the bond measure and the ballot language on September 19th and the town vote taking place November 7th. This is followed by a year of detailed design and 33 months of construction. The school building committee's role in the project has been to explore alternative solutions and determine the appropriate project scope and budget, working with our team and estimators. In reviewing the existing conditions of the site at the beginning of the project, the committee and design team highlighted considerable advantages and challenges of the current site conditions and worked with the design team to develop options to address them. We also heard consistently throughout the project at numerous public hearings that this community has strong feelings about the site and the uses of the site for non-school recreational and community events. It's been a consistent goal of the project from the beginning to be sure that the school and site are complementary and the larger community can access both the building and the recreational amenities of the site. In the assessment of the existing building, engineers reviewed systems thoroughly. I'd recommend that anyone with questions about our assessment go to the project page that is on the district's website and review the preliminary design program report, which includes evaluations of each building system. Of greatest concern in that evaluation are the deteriorating and inadequate conditions of the existing electrical system from transformer to device, the distribution and control systems for heating and ventilation, and the condition of the roof, all of which are in significant concern at this point. On architecture, core wall finishes are reasonably solid, but floors and ceilings throughout the building are in very poor condition. Windows and doors are also in very poor condition and in need of immediate replacement. Addressing this series of overlapping system replacement needs in a single project or series of projects in a building of this age, size, and assessed value triggers obligations to meet additional code requirements. As a reminder, the building was designed prior to Massachusetts even having a building code, and we're now on our 10th building code. So we're 10 generations back, on this project. So anything that's done to the building that triggers a requirement to meet current building code requirements is going to face additional costs. And that's part of the problem of a code upgrade or major renovation of the project. The school, for example, does not have sprinklers and would be required to provide sprinklers if any major alteration or renovation were to take place. There are unusual challenges to any major renovation of a building of this period and design. To accommodate sprinklers and appropriately sized ductwork and revised heating and cooling systems, the ceilings of this school would have to be lowered. In this plan, what you see is what is already a concern, that spaces in the school, some are as great as 20% below MSBA size expectations, and some are as small as 5% below. That matters because the MSBA's contributions to projects is tied to the ability of those spaces to meet MSBA's size guidelines. So that's part of why a major CODA upgrade it becomes ineligible. There are several reasons, but that's one reason why it's largely ineligible for MSBA reimbursement. So again, one of the reasons why the new construction option ended up being the determined option.
Ask you a quick question.
Yeah.
The size requirements, is that based on how many pupils are in the classroom?
The overall school enrollment triggers a whole set of expectations as to number of classrooms and size of classrooms. But generally speaking, classrooms are required to be between 825 and 950 square feet.
Okay.
Below 825 is ineligible for reimbursement.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So from an educational standpoint, this problem of having to modify the building to meet current needs is significant because it changes the shape of the classroom that the students are learning in. So these classrooms that are already undersized relative to current guidelines become even smaller when you add additional ductwork in the ceilings or add additional wall thickness to add insulation to the outside wall. So that's one of the things that we viewed here as a challenge. We're certainly not opposed to renovations as an idea, but the committee in looking at this saw that they were compromising the quality of the teaching space. And that was one of the most significant reasons why this option was really rejected by the committee. So additionally, the goal of the project is always to meet the current educational plan. And in the same way that the working world and manufacturing world and automobiles and television have changed over the last 60 years, so has education. The district wrote an educational plan for the future of East Long Meadow High School as a part of this project, and the proposed new construction is designed around meeting that educational plan, whereas the existing school is designed around the educational plan of the mid-1950s and 1960s. When the committee compared the option of a base repair, can you change slides for me? And compared the options of the cost of a CODA upgrade to a major ad renovation or a new construction project, the relative cost, given the advantages of new construction, tilted the committee's preference towards a new construction option. When reviewing these things, what we observed with the school committee is that they were not looking just at total project cost, but also at the end result, the longevity of the design, the ability of the school to serve community needs as well as school needs in the future and now, and the impact of construction project would have on learners. That last topic I just want to mention because it's important, because both the code repair and ad reno options were significantly more impacting of the school's operations. They would have required displacing students into modulars, potentially stretching the project time out. So while we costed these out as if they were sort of immediate projects, in reality, a code upgrade project typically ends up becoming a series of projects because you have to try and work around the school schedule. And that's actually very, very difficult to do. So it really does impact operations. After review of the options over several months, the school building committee and the majority of the community members who were present and attended public meetings that we held to review the process expressed the strongest preference for a new construction option. In March, the school building committee voted to forward that new construction option forward into the schematic design that became the cost basis and will become the cost basis for the scope and budget agreement between the community and the MSBA. So I'll turn it over to Christian to talk through some of the fun parts.
Yeah. So to streamline the process, Dory and I are here tonight. Skanska is the owner's project manager. And so they know more about the cost side of things than we do, but we're all pretty up to date on this project. So these are the cost slides that we've presented we've had numerous public meetings. And the last one that we had at the high school, we were able to present these numbers. These are based off of the preferred schematic report. So that was an earlier submission to the MSBA where the committee decided, yes, we want to go with all new construction. So we got rough numbers based off of that square footage, based off of how the market is looking and comparable schools in the state. Right now, we're at the very tail end of schematic design, and that's when we're going to have the exact number that the voters are going to vote on in November. So we have another public meeting in September and another one in October. And at those two presentations, we'll be able to update this slide with a lot more detail. Another thing that I want to mention here is we know from the very beginning it was the town's hope that the pool would be included with the school project. The MSBA would not allow the pool to be considered part of the school project because it's a school funding only, grant organization. And so as they see it, they want to try and spread that money as equally across the state as possible. So you'll see this over and over again, but they really only contribute towards eligible costs, and they use that term quite often. And it's their way of making sure that they try and distribute those funds as equitably as possible. So the pool project is a separate project. We have a separate pool building committee, and that pool building committee is hoping that the pool project will be approved at the same timeline as a school project. Both have elected to go with a construction manager at risk for the construction portion. So that means that the building committee will be able to interview several construction managers, pick the one that they want. And we're hoping that we'll be able to get the same construction manager for both of those projects that go forward at the same time. But so the pool costs were even more unknown than the school costs at this point. So this was taken from basically costs from the West Springfield pool project, which SMMA did, the architectural team that we're partnering with on this project. And we brought it up to today's dollars and got an approximate project costs for that pool. We then brought those costs and started looking at what type of an impact that would have on taxpayers here in East Longmeadow. Again, sorry, I skipped a very important part on the school project. We have, again, an approximate MSBA reimbursement of between 55 and 57 million. So as Dory mentioned, when we're in schematic design and with that project scope and budget agreement, that number gets finalized to a very specific dollar amount. But with these early numbers, we were able to go through the MSBA spreadsheet and figure out that it was roughly 55 to 57 million that would be coming from the state, helping the town with the cost of this project. So given that amount, we looked at a combined local share of about 135 million, that ballpark, with an impact on an average single family home, which has a value in East Longmeadow of about $340,000. That impact would be about $1,200 a year. I'm going to keep going. We can come back to this if there's more questions on it. It's a lot of numbers to go through quickly, but we do have a lot to cover tonight. Any questions quickly before I go on? Okay.
Would you base that on 20-year bond or 30-year bond?
30-year bond. And I should mention that we've been working with Kim Collins, and she did mention that she and Hilltop, who she's working with on the bonding itself, will be able to attend a meeting in September to discuss the structure of that bond. But yeah, it is a 30-year loan that those numbers came from.
So we wanted to just give a preview. The schematic design phase requires that we develop enough information in the design to be able to cost out, not relative to other projects, but relative to the materials that would be required for this project. So that's the process we're in currently. Is we have developed these floor plans and renderings and elevations and placed materials to it, and had all of those sizes accurately estimated. And we're looking at those numbers now. We do feel that the project numbers are generally going to hold. So the design calls for a 2-story structure. Overall square footage is not that different than the original school. Let me see if it's that written down here. It's the gymnasium portion of the school, which is not shown in the image, but is on the, if you go back to the actual one shot there. So the gymnasium is the element to the left on the north elevation. That's a 16,000 square foot gym. The total school is 192,000 plus square feet. It's a 2-story building. The academic wing is to the back. The front would still present a kind of a mix of masonry and be completely constructed behind the existing school. We'll go through the site plan in a second. So the plan calls for obviously a new gymnasium that's larger than the current gymnasium, new additional PE spaces, including a weight room, locker rooms, a new auditorium that's a multi-purpose focused auditorium. We've organized it so that the auditorium and chorus and band and art classes create an arts wing up towards the front of the school. You go past through that to the academic wing. So we try and create a little bit of separation from the more public spaces to the academic spaces to the rear. The design calls for 31 classrooms, 4 vocational spaces. It's an engineering lab, culinary arts, video production, early childhood education, and graphic design. Those spaces are different than the standard classrooms. Each set of bank of classrooms is organized kind of as its own community, but students would be moving back and forth. There's a central commons that everyone participates in that's also a dining hall that opens towards the south. So we try and maximize daylighting. It's a high performance school designed with high insulation levels, high roof insulation. It's designed for the addition of photovoltaic panels, much better designed in general in terms of electrical systems serving the educational needs of students today. Go to the next slide. This gives you a sense of the site plan. You can see hatched in red lightly is the footprint of the existing school. So the intent here is to build the new school behind the existing school so that operations can continue in the existing school and students aren't impacted. It does then require a second phase of work to redo the parking and circulation. Our goals there have been to create a safer parking and circulation plan and to eliminate the connection to Norden, but provide a turnaround back there for emergency vehicle access for the recreational fields and ADA parking. The site includes both the 6-lane pool footprint as well as new varsity baseball and softball fields, new JV baseball and softball. As some of you know, softball actually was displaced and hasn't been on site, so that's a significant goal. 5 practice fields, the new press box and concessions building, relocating tennis and then striping it also for pickleball, and then providing much better amenities around the school itself to support outdoor education. So, whole part of this conversation that's important to bring publicly is what happens in Plan B condition? What happens if the vote fails? So we just wanted to summarize some of the key concerns, and this is what occurs in all these projects. This is always a very difficult conversation. So this is $120 million is the estimated cost of bringing the building up to current code requirements. So to do those renovations and then face the triggers for things like sprinklers and and energy conservation requirements, to do all of that work is $120 million worth of work. Failed vote jeopardizes the MSBA core program grant, which is worth $55 million. So if the project doesn't proceed, that $120 million code upgrade is on the community on its own. It could result in a series of disruptive separate capital projects stretched out over years. And obviously, cost of construction continues to go up. And likely those projects are funded by East Longmeadow taxpayers without the MSBA's participation. The cost of these repairs and renovations will continue to rise. And, we have shown and will show over time images that show how this escalation is impacting school construction around the state. Meanwhile, if the project doesn't pass, no improvements to the educational facility and no improvements to the community's use of the site or the building. And generally, what's always a concern is how does this impact the reputation of the school long term? How does it affect families that are looking to educate their kids here in East Longmeadow? So going on.
Yeah, so just quickly, the next steps as we approach kind of the end of schematic design here. So we have 2 school building committee meetings scheduled, one for August 10th and one for August 24th. That's to approve the schematic design and the budget, again, that we're getting from our cost estimators as we speak. In September, the pool building committee is hoping to do a similar exercise, approving the pool building schematic design and the budget for that project. Also in September, the town accountant establishes a tax impact assessment, reviews the structure of the bonds. And then again, that as we have in our schedule right now, is the town council voting to approve the bonding and setting the date for the debt exclusion and approving the language on the ballots on September 19th.
So wait, I'm sorry. So is this is going to be separate from our September 12th meeting, or?
So is the September 19th the latest date for the vote, or is that a date that?
That was notified. We were notified that that would be the latest date for the language on the ballot, because that had to be done prior to the November 7th is the date that was selected for the town vote. And you have to back that up a certain amount based on town bylaws to determine the ballot language.
It's just my question is, will we have like a separate meeting a week after our regularly scheduled meeting just on this?
Good.
It's a possibility.
Okay. I didn't know. I didn't know.
It's a definite maybe.
I think,
Yeah, definitely work.
I think that when this date was set in our schedules, it was thought that that was when the town council was meeting. So I think if it happened a week earlier, your prerogative, your choice.
It may also be that at our September normal meeting, we have Kim come in to discuss all the possibilities. Gives us a week to consider what we like, what we don't like, and then vote on it.
On October 25th is the MSBA board meeting. That's a bit of a formality. So we'll really be figuring out the project scope and budget with them before then. And so that will happen probably as well in late September. And then November 7th is when we have the town vote scheduled. So there's a question on what exactly you all will be voting on. This is the text directly from the MSBA, and they provide this to all of the towns as kind of their standard language. It's expected that your town legal counsel will amend it, fill it in. Usually there are not too many edits to it, but there can be. And then it has to go back to the MSBA for their approval before it gets voted on by their board. So this is both the article and the motion that the town council would be looking at. Again, town council will have to confirm, but typically it's a 2/3 majority needed to pass this at the town council, or if it's a town meeting at the town meeting level here at East Longmeadow, of course, for the town council. It's long and wordy. I just wanted to pull out 3 specific things that I'm sure you'll note as you read through it. But the language in here is stock MSBA language, but they most primarily want you to understand that the MSBA's grant program is non-entitlement discretionary program based on need, and that any costs incurred in excess of any grant approved by and received from the MSBA shall be the sole responsibility of the town. So at the public meetings, we've had a lot of questions about that. What happens if the costs go up? And there are a number of contingencies that we keep in the cost estimate to make sure that that does not happen. When we saw the unprecedented, construction cost spike over the last year, some towns did have to go back to their voters to ask for additional funding, but that is, very unusual and not the norm in these MSBA projects.
So by our September vote, are we going to have the 2 numbers from the MSBA, the maximum percentage and or the maximum grant amount?
Exactly. So the percentage right now that the town, so again, that's calculated at the state level. So the current percent is 56.48 is the reimbursement percentage that East Longmeadow qualifies for. There are additional incentive points that the MSBA adds on to that. So we're looking at a LEED Silver building that will be super energy efficient. So we're hoping that we can get, before you would get 2% more for that we think we can possibly get even more than 2%. You get a certain percentage for the state evaluates how well you're taking care of your existing schools and gives you another percentage and a half if you have good maintenance procedures. So that's pretty typical. So it will go up slightly from there, but yeah, right now it's 56.48, and that will be set in stone with the MSBA before the vote happens. And then so that's the box number 2 there. And then on the third box, to appropriate the amount of, and that's going to be the full project costs. So somewhere in the ballpark of $175 to $180 million for the project costs of the proposed project. On November 7th, the voting is much simpler. The ballot language is quite brief. It's really the voters allowing the town to, as Dory mentioned, have a debt exclusion for this project, specific to this project, to override the Proposition 2.5. Any questions on those?
So we're going to have multiple articles to vote on. One would be the pool, and then hopefully we'll have the numbers. And is that a non-binding question based on whether or not the school passes?
That's going to be up for the town to decide. As we've talked about it from the school building committee's perspective and from the pool building committee's perspective, yes, the pool would be contingent on the school passing, but the school passing would not be contingent on the pool passing.
The ballot votes are only to exempt from Prop 2.5. So the council still will fund those projects.
Yes.
Or not fund.
I didn't
Right.
check.
Yeah.
We have a small budget.
Excuse me.
Yes, Jean.
So typically on a ballot question, you have a summary. A yes vote means so-and-so, a no vote means, will that language be crafted also, or is that up to our town attorney?
That's a great question. Thinking on our recent projects, I have not seen that language on the ballot, but certainly you could propose it and see what the MSBA thinks.
What you will see is where it says insert description of the project, there will be greater detail of the size, location, scale of the project. So there's a little bit more than, because it would be very hard to understand here. And as Christian mentioned, it is important that that language be developed and then shared with the NSBA so their attorney can look at it and verify. So that's a double check. So that's something that can be raised and discussed.
So just as Dory mentioned on kind of what happens if the town does not approve the local funding, in the small print there at the top, I mean, there is if the vote is a no vote, there are 10 business days where you have to kind of notify the MSBA and come up with a plan. And so if it's a very close vote, sometimes, you can recommend that you'll vote again in a few weeks. But typically the failed result requires the town to submit, or the district to submit, a new statement of interest, which, as Dory mentioned, was about 8 years ago to start this whole process, and kind of just get back in line for the MSB.
So what is, maybe if you know off the top of your head, the frequency of cities and towns that do end up rejecting projects? Does that happen frequently? Do these close vote have these second votes happened frequently?
We were involved with a project in Clarksburg that was a very small town trying to afford a new school. It did not pass the first vote, very narrowly. So we wrote a plan to the MSBA that was approved. I think we had another vote 2 weeks later, and that unfortunately also was a negative, and that project did not move forward.
So I guess this would impact other potential hypothetical projects of our other schools, because I know a colleague of mine mentioned recently, I know that they live in Newton. They rejected, I believe, an elementary school. I think it was a year or two ago. But I'm just wondering if it would just kind of poison the well of the entire community, because we have not just one school building, but multiple, and we could have this potential situation come up for a building in the future.
You mean with the MSBA?
Yes.
I think they look at every project independently. And this is obviously the largest scale project you would have because it's the largest building you would have. And they, MSBA is invested in seeing every district succeed, but they definitely, knowing how much money goes into this process and how rigorous it is and how much time. I mean, there's been, countless meetings to publicly deliberate this project. The committee has done an excellent job of participating in it. They don't want communities to pretend that it's going to magically change, if the sentiment is strongly opposed to a project, and think that they can get in line again. They were unusually lenient with Holyoke because Holyoke was in receivership, and they did the same with Lynn. They gave a second try. Typically, you just find that a second vote seldom makes a difference, but some communities may find a way to bond for it without a public vote. That has happened on projects and made a difference. The MSBA just doesn't want to see the resources wasted, but they also aren't going to not provide these opportunities. So they would look at a new SOI very differently. A new SOI on the high school is likely to have a real challenge going forward until there's a substantive change, that would demonstrate why the vote would be different, I think.
Didn't Holyoke, they voted down the school and then they were able to get into the accelerated repair program?
Yeah.
No, the Holyoke voted down a 2 middle school project. So they asked for 2 at once. And that was an exceptional situation that the MSBA even granted that idea. And they voted that down. MSBA did provide access to accelerated repair projects, but those were for other existing schools, not for the schools that were in question. So that was to help them improve some of their elementary schools. The MSBA then, because they were in receivership and they desperately needed those schools, allowed them to move forward on 1 school without requiring a vote of the 2 middle schools. And they recently restarted that process around a model school proposal for 1 school only. So they're still short of middle school. And the only reason they agreed to that is because the city had to commit to being able to bond for it without going back to a vote.
You answered.
So I had the pleasure of speaking to State Senator Oliveira today, and he did let me know that the accelerated repair, they're hoping to get that started up again, that they have put money into it, which is
great.
Great. Not said we're looking at a new school, but I'm just saying in general, because we still have other schools and I'm sure they still need repairs. So
yeah. And for people who might question why this project, one thing that's not understood, accelerated repair, you get that full reimbursement amount because there's a lot fewer exceptions to the reimbursement rate. And also an accelerated repair is for projects where it's a single system, like a roof or a boiler. The reason this project doesn't qualify for that is because you have so many overlapping systems that are in crisis, really. So that's why a project like this is always kind of heading towards the core project.
Marilyn, you had a question?
No, you answered. You gave the question.
We're thinking alike. That's
we
all.
Are.
I just wanted to very quickly cover kind of construction costs over time, because I know the numbers are mind-boggling, and we've certainly been cognizant of that, and the school building has also been cognizant of that, and we've been doing our best to walk the fine line of delivering a project that East Longmeadow can be proud of for at least 50 years, if not more, meeting the educational needs of the district, while also keeping those construction costs in mind. So a lot of people have compared the project to the Longmeadow High School, and boy, they did that for much less money. But as you can see from the orange line here, so the orange line is showing construction costs over time. We're over on the far right side with East Longmeadow current project costs. And you can see it's continuing to go up. I think the ones on the far right are Neshoba Regional and another one up near Salem. And so this is data. It's from the MSBA's own website. They do a very good job of tracking all of these projects. And then unfortunately, what you can see down there on the green line is the MSBA construction funding limit. So earlier I said they will provide, what was it, 56 or 58% of your eligible costs. Well, so they consider eligible costs, all those construction costs up to that green line. And then anything above that green line is ineligible. So at the public meetings, it causes quite a bit of confusion, but while your eligible reimbursement rate is 56%, that's why we're seeing a real reimbursement rate of closer to 33%, right? And so part of that is that difference between the green line and the orange line. Part of that is they put caps on site funding, they put caps on some of the hazardous materials work. All of these caps, again, are designed so that they're not punishing schools that have already done hazardous materials work on their own before they got into the MSBA program. So they're trying to look at it in a very egalitarian way, but it does create that confusion between the 56% and what you're actually getting as a town, which is closer to 53%.
Okay.
Go.
Oops. West Springfield, Worcester. Oh, okay. Amherst is an elementary school.
Yes.
Did those guys get pools in their buildings?
They did not. West Springfield did at that point, and I'm under the understanding that the pool was a separate. Okay. It was a little bit more confusing that it was kind of part of the project, but it was an alternate, and the MSBA did not participate in the cost of that. But they have since kind of really made that a clear demarcation line that they must be different projects.
Which logistically drives the cost up considerably more with a separate building than if it were included within the regular building, correct?
Yeah, I think there will probably be some of the soft costs, some of the project costs are higher. It's a little bit more expensive because we're having to bring in utilities independently to those two separate buildings. But in terms of the construction type and how that's all sequenced, we really hope that can be as seamless as possible. So the pool will be an independent structural system, which sometimes we do in buildings that are too large anyway. So it'll have a seismic joint between it and the high school. But really the construction should be able to happen at the same time. And we've really tried to orchestrate it on the site so that it works well with the new school as well as that existing school being
I would say one of the advantages of it, because you're right that it's frustrating, it would be nice to sort of just incorporate it. We've done our best to really tie the plans so closely together that it will feel part of the project. But also the advantage of that separate vestibule dividing the two means that you will probably have the ability to run a larger window of community hours access to the pool because the pool is secured from the school. So students will go through a vestibule into the pool, but the community could then use the pool. And we've thought about how the community could access the pool without interrupting the school. So thank you.
SBA allowed construction costs. Am I looking at it right? It's just over 400 or?
Where are you?
It is per square foot.
It's 390.
Right now, the construction cost outright is like 760, but the MSBA only allows a percentage up to.
They only reimburse up to a percentage of an allowable cost per square foot. Yeah. Which roughly aligns often with sort of the direct cost, but not all the overhead costs. So they're trying to control how much they have and how they're distributing it by following slowly. 393 per square.
93. Wow. Such a huge difference from what you can actually build at.
Yes. Yeah. And, they're politically always talking with the legislature to get access to more resources. And that number goes up. You can see those jumps. And you can see the last jump was quite a significant one because that period of inflation. It's only significant relative to where it was, not quite as high as we obviously needed to go, and it didn't change the slope.
So just to conclude, wanted to, again, kind of end on the schedule. So if the vote is positive on November 7th, we would proceed pretty much directly into detailed design. That's when we go through design development and then construction documents. We would go through the process of hiring that construction manager at risk during that process. So then they're able to comment on the drawings as they're developed, provide input to the design team. It's a really helpful team approach to the project. We would have a series of cost estimates during that process. So one at the end of design development, one at 60% of construction documents, and another at 90% of construction documents. And those three cost estimates are specifically made to check in with that price that we're getting now to make sure that the project is tracking with the cap that was set at the end of schematic design. And then construction would start. Again, with the construction manager, we're able to try and get students into the building in August of 2026, while they would then, once the students are in the new building, then they would demolish the existing building and finish up that site work. So the project would go longer than that. But again, trying to get students into the new building as soon as we can. So that's why the completion date is May of 2027, but the move-in date is August of 2026.
What type of workmanship guarantee is there on a new construction?
What workmanship guarantee? So
a 1-year guarantee like a residential house with a builder? Is it 10 years? Is it the life of the bond?
Yeah. So the standard warranty is 1 year. And then of course there's warranty within the products or the individual items that are specified. So the roof will have a 30-year warranty, and the mechanical units will have a X and X warranty. And you can even decide, sometimes communities, we've had a recent community decide that on the plantings, the landscape plantings, to pay a little bit extra and get a 2-year warranty on the plantings. And so that's something you write into the specifications, and you're not sure how much the contractor is marking up the bid to meet that, but there's always that option.
So the project manager, do they stay involved and then do a inspection before the 1-year warranty is up and do a huge punch list on anything that they see?
Right. Okay. So we do a very detailed punch list at the end of the construction process. The MSBA hires a commissioning agent. So that's yet another party that is kind of independent but involved with the project. They also are evaluating our documents during construction documents and providing input. Mostly it's on the mechanical systems, electrical systems, but also on the building envelope. So really looking at all the layers of insulation and making sure that the windows are tested during the construction process. That commissioning agent comes back 10 months after occupancy to again see how things are going. Notify the town or the district if they need to ask the contractor to do any further work. So there is a check-in period after move-in.
Any counselors have any questions? I'll send you all of mine. No.
Please do. The building committee meetings are public. Please do come to the public meetings again in September and October. We have a project website. We have a project email address. We do our best to answer all of those emails that have come in. There have been some that have been incredibly detailed from local folks, which is great. Like very detailed questions on our proposed mechanical systems that I could not answer, but our mechanical engineer could. So all of that input is fantastic.
Anything? Matt, how's the pool? Okay.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the information.
Thanks, Lori.
So to the counselors, my thought is September, we should probably plan on the 2 meetings. That way there on our normal meeting, we can talk to our finance director, get out all from her, and we could still have another full week. Still have questions or adjustments or anything like that.
check with LCAT. I think planning board has a meeting the 19th. I mean, it doesn't have to be, I mean, it's supposed to be.
We're more important. And I think half the town would at least agree with the school, so.
Yeah, no, I'm just,
Yeah.
Haley just texted me and that's what I was just.
Just like in this, there it is, COA.
Okay.
Okay. Thank
Good
you.
night. Thank you. Okay.
All right, let me get some lights on. Should we do this?
I was hoping to have the chicken conversation.
You can say for that.
Well, Katrine here will be your big advocate because she has 29 chickens. However, in Blandford, not Westville.
No roosters though. Sorry.
That's all. That's it.
Yes. So hopefully we just sent our PowerPoint to Ryan. And then I know that we do have handouts too, but then we can present it.
Take a quick couple-minute recess while they're getting this done.
And turn the lights on. I'm sure that would work.
I think they're used, are they used?
Oh, that was simple.
If that's okay, I'm just gonna call a 3-minute recess. Beautiful. Welcome back, everyone. We are continuing on with our town council meeting. We have Whip City Fiber here to discuss high-speed fiber optics with the town of East Long Meadow.
All right.
Want to introduce yourself? That would be
Sure, I'll introduce the group. Tom Flaherty, General Manager, Head of the Westfield Gas and Electric, Whip City Fiber. Katrine Ferreter, who's our Director of Sales and Customer Service. And Andrew Short, our Key Accounts Sales Manager.
Thank you. So I'll take it from here. So
Absolutely, that's fantastic.
I draw the.
I'm just a pretty face.
Yeah.
Katrine, by the way.
Katrine, my parents were too cheap.
That's the night out. We would still be talking if it didn't get dark. Exactly. She's so excited about this project.
Yes.
So she gets going.
Yeah. So that was a perfect segue. I actually was the customer service rep with the pilot area. And then we worked through building trust and then basically working through fiber service area. So I'll talk more about that. And then my main role was being the liaison for our community partners that were the unserved communities. So really working start to finish with fellow municipalities. So we're gonna, I know it's late, just briefly describe what our partnership is and how we can work with towns and really work to provide fiber to home networks. And one of the benefits is it's East Long Meadows network. So it is your network. So we'll talk about that. So I know that you had already made the vote for establishing a municipal light plant, the MLP. So you're already one step further. And then Tom will talk about the bonding and financing. And then we'll talk about the process with Make Ready, administration and poll applications, as well as marketing, communications, and support, which I know Marilyn, you and I had talked about that. How do we increase that take rate? And I know Ryan and I had talked about a 60% take rate, and it's really building trust, education, and then word of mouth through your realtors, friends, and family. And you can stop me if you have any questions. So who is Westfield Gas and Electric? We are a municipality that's actually hitting the 125 mark, 125 years of gas and electric just next year. And we do have over 18,000 electric meters. And Tom and I were actually just looking, we have to update this slide. Next month, we'll be at over 16,000 Whip City Fiber customers here in Westfield, as well as our community partners. Our community partners actually have almost 920 miles of plant, and we are currently active in 19 communities, and we do have 9,000 subscribers in our partnering communities. Basically, start to finish, we'll talk about. And then over 10,500 gas customers. So Westfield's Gas and Electric, we have 125 employees, and we're all local. So we're basically walking billboards. So our customer service, they handle gas, electric, and fiber. And then we do have a 24/7 dispatch center that does handle emergency response, as well as dispatch for storm repair, as well as through the community partners. So we are very busy and we all wear many hats, but we are passionate about what we do. So again, I just want to emphasize it is your network. So we basically go at the discretion of the town for you to set your rates. And basically when the subscriber pays, when they're actually hooked up, it goes into your bank account. So you have control over those funds. So what's critical is the design and engineering, which we did have a meeting on site 2 weeks ago with Precision Valley Communications. Nick Sarnelli actually lives here in East Long Meadow, but they are our design and engineering firm. So they will vet out all the homes to make sure that each home is in the design, because that is critical planning for the future. So we are going to look at plant miles, and that's what we had provided the estimate to the town of East Long Meadow, as well as if there's any multi-dwelling units. So if there's any condo associations, we want to make sure that each home is in the design. The biggest unknown and the most time consuming that we're working through, is the make ready and poll application administration. So basically we work with the town. You have to apply for rights to all the polls in East Long Meadow. And that is the most time consuming because we are relying on the utilities, Eversource, Verizon, National Grid. There is National Grid. And there is a section when we were talking with Ryan and Tom that is served from Eversource. So we would have to apply through Eversource. We do have a good working relationship. However, they do work in FIFO order, first in, first out. So that is the most time consuming and the biggest unknown for the make ready, because they do have to do adjustments to the poles so then the town of East Long Meadow can attach the fiber. I will say we are proud that we disputed and challenged the poles. So a lot of times the utilities might give a cost for the poles of $1,500, but we might challenge because it should have been replaced 30 years ago, and we call it overturning. So then at that point, we save the town's money. So with our community partners, they were unserved or underserved. We saved them over $4 million that the state actually wanted us to overturn poles with Comcast. So those retirees are former linemen, former engineers. So they look at a pole and they know exactly what they're looking at when it should have been replaced. So we have overturned quite a few poles in the town of West Springfield, which we do have a current executed agreement with, and we are working through that with the town of Hamden, which we also have an executed agreement with. The next step is as soon as we want to time it at a good time when we go out to bid for the construction, because once we get those license agreements, then at that point, the town of East Long Meadow can attach the fiber. But again, from start to finish, we're here to be partners with you to kind of work through those challenges and project manage to ultimately hooking up the subscribers and setting them up for activation, service activation with your established rates. There's a lot of information. Is there any questions so far? So the next question, Tom is going to assist on how can East Long Meadow fund this project? And we are going to go over based on what we in Westfield have done.
Unlike the school project where you can maybe have some kids sell some candy bars, this project actually funds and pays for itself as long as you get the subscribers, right? So when we did a 60% take rate, you have a potential dwelling units, or so that's your commercial locations and your residential and multi-dwelling units of 5,712 locations here. At a 60% take rate, that brings you just less than 3,500 locations. The estimated build right now, and this is just an estimate, is at $17,655,000. So with that, the debt service on that based on 4% over 20 years is at $1.299 million. The income after paying for your debt service before any other expenses like insurance, and if you have a board that's a paid board, if you have any other administrative costs, is just over $1 million of net income per year. So it's fantastic. On another note, if you don't get a 60% take rate, your next question might be, what if it's 50%? You're still making, in that case, over $650,000 a year for that. That was a huge concern for many of the Hilltown communities that we worked with. We worked with 20 communities, built them from start to finish. This was their biggest procurement to get like $1 million bond or a $2 million bond, and they were physically scared to death about failing their communities and bankrupting them. They're all turning a profit less than a year into their projects, in 2020, which is fantastic, right? So this is something where at minimum, you're looking at, over $500,000 a year and on less than a 50% take rate. On 60%, you're looking at $1 million per year. A bit of advice coming from managing a municipal light plant like Westfield, I would allow that entity to save a little bit of money before you start dispersing that money back to your community.
What did you calculate a minimum take rate just to cover costs? Did you?
Well, just to cover cost would be probably right around 33 to 34%. I did a 40, 50, and 60%. 40% take rate, you were still making over about close to $265,000.
So a 35% take rate is roughly mandatory in order to cover costs. Right. Okay.
Yep. And that's exactly, believe it or not, that's what we came out with back in 2013, 2014 when Westfield was doing this, and that was even before streaming was a hot topic. Westfield, we did it on our own to apply just another service to the residents and really set it up just to break even. Right now in Westfield, we're pretty close to a 60% take rate. We still have about 12 to 15% of the city to serve, or at least have passings there. Our total all-in cost will be around $35 million. We took out a bond for $15 million back in 2015. And that build out was projected to do 70%. So what we did after that was we waited a couple of years. As we had that income, we reinvested that income. So there's a variety of ways to do this. You can do, parts of your community. You can do marketing that says, hey, this area wants to have, has 80% take rate, so let's build that one first. So you get some revenues coming in that can then pay off some of your other areas, so that you might not need to take out a full $17 million bond. You might want to just take out a $13 or $14 million bond, get your main backbone fiber built, and then build out your other areas. And then you have that other revenue out to build over the next couple of years.
And then to put it in perspective, Westfield 97 fiber service areas, and then your community would be about 20 to 25 fiber service areas. We would have that exact number once they continue to do that walkout. So
just so you know, the example that we have here with the different colors, that gives you an idea of your fiber service areas, or FSAs. When you hear us, there's way too many acronyms in our businesses, from gas, electric, and fiber. But when you look at that area, you can see a condensed area would be a more populated area, and then you look where Ralph lives, and that's like and Ralph's Chickens. So that's the yellow or purple, I think, down on the bottom from a meeting that we had earlier this year. But it gives you an idea of that spread. Some of the other benefits that I know East Long Meadow has, and I don't think I'm jumping ahead, but I know you have a telecom hut like located somewhere near here, right? Is there one across the street or something? A telecom hut?
We purchased the property that is in the center of our physical existing fiber network.
Yep. So that, some of the infrastructure that you already have could save you some money, but first, the full estimate that we have here. So.
Thank you. And then, so we do provide the turnkey solution, so start to finish, working with our team. And then basically, ultimately, the goal is to become we will be the internet service provider. And that's really, you all have busy lives. You leave it over to us to handle the 24/7 technical support. And every time that we look at our email, there's a positive feedback from a customer saying, the technician, we had just an email just the other day where the customer actually had MS and they fell and the technician caught them and cleaned up. It was one of our new hires, and cleaned up the mess, made sure that they were okay. So the customer called customer service, sent an email, and really said, this guy needs an award. So we're nominating him. He's one of our new employees over the last month. So he's been nominated for a safety award, just helping the customer, because we really just pride, again, walking billboards. So the customer service, that's the group that I manage. We have 12 customer service reps who do the onboarding. So if you want to have senior rates or whatever, however you establish your rate structure, we would accommodate through the website, through the billing process. And there's also affordable connectivity plan. So if you qualify for food stamps or you qualify for low income fuel assistance and all of that through the national verifier, then you can actually qualify for $30 off your bill. So if it's $85, it would be $50, and you're not losing any money because that's a federal funding program. So we administer that on your behalf. So we onboard the customer, whether it's an underground drop or an overhead drop, we work through that. And then also the billing, the monthly billing. So it is prorated. So the customer is paying in advance, and we do run a tight termination process. So if the customer doesn't pay, we do terminate those customers for non-pay. And if you do want to charge an administrative fee, it goes back to your account. So for instance, the town of Blandford, it's $30 reconnect fee. That's what Westfield does as well. So you would receive that fee. It's an administrative fee for those customers that don't pay their bill. But as soon as they pay their bill, it is a remote reconnect. So we take care of that, as well as emergency response. A lot of times we're seeing it where the trees, the primary might actually burn and then the fiber burns. So we do have the truck rolls. We have 2 on-call technicians, fiber technicians. So the truck roll takes place within an hour and a half to triage from the truck roll, making sure they have the materials to repair. And at that point, we're communicating to the town administrators as well as the individual subscribers that were impacted by that fiber burn through our marketing department, marketing communications, which actually consists of a marketing director and 2 other marketing. They run around the clock, depending on the time frame, because communication is key. When am I going to get my service back? And all of that. Is there any questions so far? Yes, Connor?
You mentioned one about like termination of service, whether it was like payment, but even if someone just like chose to cancel, is there like equipment on site that the resident is required to return to you?
So that's actually the only thing that we own, Westfield Gas and Electric Whip City Fiber, is the router, just so we can troubleshoot and then really do like remote upgrades and all of that. But we would recommend, if they're terminating because they're moving, leave it there. So if Marilyn moves in, welcome Marilyn. Let us just get you your we'll get you your new password. Welcome to Whip City Fiber, East Long Meadow, and all of that. But then if they really don't want the equipment, either they want to use their own equipment, that's entirely fine. There's no discount. But if they really just are frustrated for whatever reason, they can get rid of the equipment. Okay, cool. But that is the only asset that we own. Just to troubleshoot, it's much easier to see if there's any issues. We can predict if the routers are down. So if we predict that there's multiple routers, is it a fiber that's been burned? Is it a bigger issue, and all of that?
It's actually pretty cool.
Yes.
Like that.
Yeah. So we're always happy to give a tour of our facility. John Lear is very enthusiastic. Marilyn thinks I'm enthusiastic. He's way more enthusiastic.
And that's a compliment.
Yeah, thank you. I take that as a compliment. But to your point, Connor, we do have the network operator side of it. So we're actually working with our community partners on building redundancy and resiliency, because many of them, everyone's using their cell phones now. They don't have a home landline, although we do offer that. But we want to make sure that the network is breathing. And then if there is any issues, that it's either all hands on deck or we triage. And now with we call it the RRR, redundancy, resiliency, and reliability, that it self-heals if there's any sort of outage, then it'll go to the other provider. So we are working on those rings, if you will, with our community partners. But then we do have a whole network team that, again, it's at our operations center. They work 24/7 with dispatch. And then especially if there's some sort of incident, we're all hands on deck. We communicate through the Teams platform. And then it's important to keep the towns up to date on what's going on, because these are your neighbors.
So a customer will be able to get phone service also.
Yep.
So they can pay for our internet program and a phone program.
Yeah, absolutely. Through us. We use the UMA office, or not UMA office. We do use UMA office for the commercial customers, but we do use UMA, which is a VoIP service, voice over IP. But we don't provide it, but we would suggest it if they have a UPS backup under uninterruptible power supply. So that way, if there is a power outage, their phones would still work, because in the event that there's not a power outage, their internet wouldn't work for their phones.
Right.
And they can keep their same number, because a lot of people, it's history, their phone number, so they can keep their same phone number, a fax machine. So customer service would set them up through the onboarding process, and then you can establish that rate for your phone customers.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome. The only, so there's no taxes and fees, but the phones do have taxes and fees. So if a customer is paying just for internet, there's no taxes and fees, but there is the federal phone taxes and fees. So here you can see, these are the community partners. And as I mentioned, we're at the 9,000 mark of subscribers and our community partners. And the first two were Alford and Otis. And again, these were in fact unserved or underserved, but there was a lot of hurdles that we overcame. And you can see how widespread that we are, but we do have technicians geographically placed so we can have that response time. But I do want to point out, if there is a outage due to a pole break, we do have to wait for the utility to set the pole. We'll triage the situation and communicate until National Grid replaces the pole. And then at that point, we can attach the fiber for the emergency response. But you can see this is a long time coming, but we're very proud. And I know me personally, just working, especially during COVID, these customers didn't have any internet, and just kind of partnering with them. How do we get them hooked up? I know that you are a served community, but there is something valuable in your own network. It's your network. It's going back into the community. You're providing an option for the customers, the consumers, and then telemedicine. And then I know if you have kids, the iPads, everything's now Wi-Fi, your Ring camera, and all of that. But you can see these are the communities. And we are proud to say that over the last year since Tom's come on board, we have renewed contracts for 10 years with our community partners. And with that, then we can staff internally on technicians, ramp up on customer service, as well as bucket trucks. So before COVID, bucket trucks were $125,000. There wasn't as much lead time, but now we're really planning for the future because I think it's upward to 400,000.
Well, for the small bucket trucks, they're up close to 200,000. We ordered a truck almost 3 years ago for the large line truck, which was 190, and it's supposed to be delivered by the end of this year at 340. So
we've experienced.
You saw the little graph there.
Right.
High school. It's the same thing. It's really the costs have been out of control. So right now, we're holding costs pretty steady. But the lead times, for fiber, is going out about 70 weeks right now. So it's, we're ordering it. We're ordering in advance and planning for the West Springfield build that we're just about to start. We ordered their fiber almost 2 years ago, right after we signed the contract with them.
Thank you.
Yep.
And so I just want to, so again, it is your network and it is something, it's a selling point, and it is the future. Fiber is the future. And it's crazy to see everyone coming to us, and we're so proud of how far we've come, but it is the future because you want to reinvest. You're not, when you're paying your bill, you're not going back to the investor owned companies, the competitors. You're paying your community. So the revenue is going back to reinvest in your community. And again, it's providing that value, and then with your own network. So here we just have showing the home, and then the town owns the assets, and then WG&E owns the router. So we encourage customers to pay online. So it's all through ePay, but then it goes right in. We would recommend that you establish a separate MLP bank account for auditing purposes. So when the subscriber pays, have it separate enterprise funded, I think it is.
Yep. But all the financials get tracked with us as well, but we don't handle your money. So at the end, at each month, we will send you an invoice for what you owe us for the services, and you have what's left over. So none of the money comes through us, but we do handle all the billing and customer service.
And so when we engage with the communities, we do, as we were at the East Long Meadow Night Out, we want to have as many events. We're happy to have our customer service tech support team here to build that trust, answer questions, and then talk about cutting the cord. How are they going to stream their services, the security systems, the phones, and all of that. But then we would have we should have brought it today, but it's like a mock home because people are sensitive. It's their home. What is this going to look like? Is it going to be clean? Are they going through the floors? Which we would certainly wouldn't do that, but we would have a mock home setup to walk through that. But here you can see the diagram from the multi-service terminal out on the pole. And then you can see if it's an aerial drop. That's simple. It's just one appointment for the customer. And then the undergrounds, that's a little more complex. So if there is spare conduit, we would utilize that, which would be cost savings. But then if they don't have conduit, then we would do trenching. So we would have to call in SigSafe and all of that, but that's what we manage with our operations group and customer service. And typically the standard install, it's brought service to the first floor. So I know previous competitors like in Westfield, Comcast might have left it in the basement. We recommend it on the first floor. So that's covered in a standard drop. But then if you do want it out in the garage, we would work with the customer through all of that entire process, depending if they want more coverage or a separate drop for their business that might be in the garage.
If they have an older home with thicker walls or brick walls inside, we'll put in an additional router or plume setup so it can be a mesh system right inside the home.
So the next is each town has their own website, so we can update any information that you have, any questions. So you would have your own frequently asked questions. And then basically when the customers enter it, it would be if you're charging $85 for gigabit speed, or if you have a senior rate, we can go through that verification process. Just a quick show us your license. You are a senior. Excellent. That's all we need. So now you could be at that different service here. And then, however, so this is our CRM, customer relationship management system. So it's actually interesting. We worked with the product developers and they are utilizing it with other communities, but we really worked through the kinks. So we're proud to say that they're using what we had. But if all of you wanted access to it, you could, and then that way you can nudge your neighbors. But it's
to sign up.
To sign up.
Not to pay, but to sign up.
Sign up. And pay.
Yeah.
But there's really, and this is actually where we would work with your treasurer to reconcile the bills being paid. There's a billing platform and collections platform. But then if you are, however you want to deploy your fiber to the network throughout your community, we can accommodate. So if it's based on demand and construction costs and you want to kind of have a competition, this system would show you who has 20%. We can include the costs of that fiber service area, which areas have 50%. All of that. But this is where the system, you'll see when they're activated, you can see the notes as well, how many tech calls. So really it's cloud-based. Sometimes you don't want any information, but if it's for the city council meeting, you might want to jump on. So this is the convenient online billing. When we were kind of talking through it, it was challenging because we can't take payments if someone was to send us a check, because we don't have access to your bank account. And then really the cost of postage. So to make it more beneficial for cost savings, we have implemented all ePay, and customers actually were more than willing to. We were kind of surprised when we said, no, it's only ePay. So customer service handles all of the electronic payment. They can set up auto pay, and our spiel is to encourage people to sign up through checking account. So that way you're saving on not credit card fees, but then if the customer signs up for checking account, every little bit helps with the town-owned network. And this is another picture that we're very proud of. On the left-hand, bottom left-hand, those are our in-house fiber techs. So when we deployed, and our fiber foreman and supervisor, when we deployed fiber 7 years ago, we were outsourcing to Elm Electric. But really the benefit is, when you see Pete Bitsis driving around, you know who Pete is. So we are staffing accordingly with our fiber techs, and then our storekeepers. We have stores. So you can see, as Tom mentioned, the materials. We're happy to give anyone a tour, but the materials, we always have materials on hand for the storm. And then you can see on the right-hand side, that's just a picture of our bucket trucks. We even had Jamie Sincata, he's our fiber utility supervisor now. In order to get fiber, he actually went in a kayak and a canoe to bring fiber across across the lake. So we take it, we're very passionate to expand Whip City Fiber, and we're happy to be here today. So is there any questions?
I'm not sure.
Let me start.
Go ahead.
Yes.
The online billing. Have you had any pushback from elderly customers? I'm a businessman, and they absolutely will not go online to pay their bill. They will make me drive all the way to Westfield to hand me the check in person, or they'll drive all the way to my house to hand it to me.
So with all the 20 community partners, they all have to pay online. So at that point, what we do is, if it is a separate info session, so say we're here at the Council on Aging, let us help you set it up. Let us help you get your checking account, and then we'll show you the benefits. It gets a little tricky if they pay up front. So say they want to say, oh, hey, I want to pay, Ralph, I want to pay for the full year. It gets challenging on the reconciliation when it comes to the billing.
Yeah.
We try, so we have not accommodated any customers with the 9,000, just because it gets, when it comes to terminations, keeping track of that. But we would help them set up an email address. We could help them set up auto pay and all of that. It is challenging, but I will confidently say we've worked through that with our community partners.
Thinking now we may have, like I said, more issues, but 20 years from now, I mean, it's just like 10 years ago, no one wanted to pay online. Now everyone seems to pay their bills online.
Yeah, every weekend for about 3 years in Westfield, we held streaming classes. When we first started, we actually installed antennas in people's houses. Then we became an antenna company. Oh, it's coming in staticky, so we stopped doing the antennas. We still promote them. I have an antenna in my house. I never thought I would. But it gets about 60 channels. It gets your 2240, channel 3 out of Hartford, channel 30, it gets, and all these sub channels, the 22-1, 2, 3, whatever. But it's great. You actually realize how much TV you really don't watch. You can get YouTube TV, that can also stream local television as well. They can get your NESN. That was one of the biggest things. You were surprised at how many people actually watch the Red Sox. But that we help and we hold the classes on the streaming. Streaming's come a long way too. But then on the antennas, it's pretty simple. You just press the home button. You can go to HDMI 1, 2, 3, 4, however many ports are on your TV, or you can go to the antenna, and that brings you to just standard surfing television. So, and if you only want HGTV and the Hallmark channel with the Christmas movies, those are fantastic. They might kiss at the end, so I don't want to give it away. But anyway, you can pay your 10 if you only want that channel, and you do it off of Prime or Netflix or whatever. You pay your $10 a month or $15 a month if you want HBO, and you can really choose what you want to watch, and then that's it. So it's pretty simple.
But we are, to add to what Tom said, we are working, I believe we had talked about it, Marilyn, with Hamden Village. It is a senior neighborhood. It's all underground. And we had a kind of a kickoff. So this is what we're going to be doing. There was a lot of questions. So we're continuing. We have weekly meetings with them. It's about 250 residents. So we have weekly meetings with the property owners as well as champions in the neighborhood. So there's 2 champions. They're like, so-and-so is having difficulties. So we actually also partnered with the Westfield Tech Academy. So there's students that are tech students that actually are at the Southwick Seniors, and then they're at Hamden Village, and then they're at the Westfield Senior Center. And they just assist the seniors with setting up their new iPad, setting up email addresses, working through billing. And then ultimately, after the customers are hooked up, which will be in fall, we'll have a follow-up info session. So now you have the service. What's next? Is it billing? Is it signing you up for affordable connectivity plan? Is it you need help with that antenna because you really want to watch the local channels? So we would work through that process with the town. And if you have any condos or any type of development that you want those info sessions to increase take rate, but also make sure that the customer's a satisfied customer.
I think that's the main thing, satisfied customers. If they're satisfied, they're going to stay with it.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's also high speed. It's 1 gigabit to the home. It's not, you're paying for 250 megabits with what I was doing with Comcast, and I was getting 10 up and down wireless. When I switched over to Whip City Fiber before I was in this position, it went to 700 up, 700 down. So the speeds are really incredible. Yeah.
Oh, do you want to? Quick question. So I saw the cost is $84.99. Is that the cost, or is that just a number we're kind of tossing around?
You decide.
Okay. No.
Yeah.
We have experience with that.
Well, and the reason I'm asking is because I want to sell this, and I think that's what the internet is now through Spectrum. And I want, when people say to me, "Well, why am I going to switch? I'm paying that right now." I want to know what to say to them.
It's faster, it's more reliable, and it's local.
Okay.
Sorry.
Got it.
Means
what's that?
Any profit, let's per se, goes back to the town.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
It's way more better.
Yeah.
It's wicked better.
Yes, you got to get the other extra.
Awesome.
You got this.
I'm a baby boomer, so I don't, this stuff is a challenge in some ways for me. And yet I'm learning. And initially I thought you were going to provide what Spectrum does, but I'm sounding like you do anyway. I mean, you talked about all the movie channels. You talked about all the things that I get with
everything is going to streaming.
And
absolutely everything, including Comcast and Spectrum. They're going to eventually push everybody to streaming.
Even though you're not considered a cable television service, you will, through streaming, provide TV programs.
We point them in the right direction.
Got in your head, Ryan. No.
Yeah.
Point them in the right direction. So that's still getting
all right.
Through like YouTube TV or Prime or Netflix.
I mean, we use those things now.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So this is we provide the fire hose of data so that you can get those things through your streaming services.
So would you have access to current news? I mean, I'm married to a news junkie. And so, it has to be news programs and whatnot.
Yeah, you have options to get it for free where you can just go to like wwlp.com. If you're Fox News, you can go to foxnews.com, CNN.com, MSNBC.com, and just stream like right live off their website.
You have to know how to get to it.
Yeah, there's a website
not hard. Yeah.
And I could send you.
Yeah, no, trust me, we'll train you.
They're going to come in and train you. That's
one of our highest demographics is what's the right word?
I'm not saying it.
I don't want to say elderly, but our older people, because they were willing to learn. When you look at somebody that was say 55 to 60, they either could afford Comcast at $300+ a month, or they, because they were so used to hitting 834 for ESPN or 822 for 22 or 840 for channel 40, they are too lazy to learn. But now that every year Comcast for Westfield goes up $15, they're like, okay, finally they reached their marginal breaking point. So they came over and they're like, why didn't I do this 5 years ago? And I'm like, well, I told you so. Nice.
Like 44.
Well, when we chatted about this on National Night Out, I was saying, I don't know if our community is different. We have elderly housing. We have the housing authority. Which a number of buildings. We have congregate care. All of these issues are there for people who are aging in place. And so, not issues, but facilities. And so, I'm sure that the take rate in those areas may be limited, but I don't know. I don't know experience you've.
But with the benefits of the affordable care plan and those things, to get that extra $30 is super helpful, and we make it easy because entities like us, we had the choice as a internet service provider whether or not we wanted to do that. We did that, and of our 16,000 customers, we have almost 1,000 that take that benefit. So that's a huge benefit, and it's a huge number. It's eye-opening to say, wow, there's that many people in need when you look at that percentage, and we'll help walk people through it so they're not embarrassed in any way or anything like that. It's just like, no, you have this benefit, you qualify for the benefit, it's there for a reason, we'll help you walk through that process. But again, the other upside is it took us from, we're over by the turnpike in Westfield. It took us about 20 minutes to get here. We're not that far away. And I think 3 of our fiber linemen live in Springfield and they take the truck home, so it's
right here.
What's that?
Bill Braywood lives.
Oh yeah. Our new fiber, foreman lives right here in East Long Meadow as well. So, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
But we would work with those customers that don't have that comfort level yet. And then there is a website that I can send to you a follow-up. So you basically say, what do I want? What does my husband want? What do the kids want? Okay, these are the 3 recommended services, streaming services, whether it's Peacock, whether it's Hulu, whether it's whatever it is. And then you can actually cancel. The benefit of the streaming services is you're not tied into a contract. So it doesn't work for you or what have you. But we do have multiple marketing and info sessions to answer those questions. And then typically it's more of the one-on-one saying, okay, well, what do you want? Because you're not going to want the same as Jonathan. You're not going to want the same as me. So it's really, what does the consumer want? But it's too challenging if we were to partner with them to keep up with, to offer that service. But we provide the bandwidth, and then that way you can hook up all your devices and all of that with the Wi-Fi. But I can assure you that we would, if there's certain areas like Westfield Housing, so we're working with the Westfield Housing Group throughout Westfield to do marketing sessions. Some of them are the younger generation, some of them are the seniors. And then we are working on the what's the one on Granville Road?
Over 50.
At Bill Park.
Oh yeah, and over 55.
Over 55,
yeah.
But we have reached out and we have about a 65% take rate in those communities because it's the buy-in. It's the grandchildren coming over saying, oh, it's this easy. This is that easy. And I'll tell you, so my dad's, he's from Ireland. He's an Irishman. Electricity. He uses an iPad.
I thought you were going to give his age. Please don't do that.
70. We've got the Brit next to me now.
Yeah.
But my dad's.
We're all trying to get along with peace talks here.
But he's on his iPad every morning getting the Irish news and all of that. And he streams. We don't have Comcast. We don't have. So if he can do it, and he's a roofer, I've got faith.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's also not exclusive. You can still keep Spectrum for.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yep.
It's not, you have to switch everything. Correct. You can still keep Spectrum for TV if you're really married to it.
Sure. Well, I'm trying not to be. It's too expensive.
Yeah.
That's one of the keys, and they're everything, and not to, keep besmirching, or if that's a better word, but Spectrum and Comcast. But hey, we'll do this bundle and we'll do this, but their key is to get you on it for a year or 2 years, and then jack you back up. And until you forget about it, and then you remember, and it's like, oh geez, I have to do this. But they'll say, oh, we'll do a internet only, but it's 200 megabits per second, if you're lucky, and you're still paying that same 85. But the 85 runs out after 12 months, and then after 12 months, what does it run to? And it's like 159. So it jumps up significantly. We're not running any specials. We're not trying to hook people in. Again, all the pricing is up to you. We have, I think one of our community partners, they're, might be like 115 per month, but a lot of those towns, they had like HughesNet satellite at 3 megabits per second that they were already paying, $200 a month for, so there was some extremely large costs. We had one doctor in Alford who was paying $1,200 something a month for internet. And then we had to write a letter to the IRS, make a call to the IRS when he went down to 115, so that there wasn't fraud going on or whatever. But, it's funny. There's some quirks out, quirky people out there. There's some quirks to the system out there, but really it was eye-opening for me to go through all this, and it's really a great program.
I just wanted to add one other program that we're releasing is working with the realtors. So again, it's the word of mouth, and then we are offering them kind of a stipend, so $20 gift card. But basically, the realtors now are going to be promoting Whip City Fiber. So then I actually get realtors reaching out. When are you going to West Springfield? When are you going to Hamden, East Long Meadow? So they're really the salespeople when they're selling the home. I don't know how often homes turn over here, but really it's just that word of mouth. I know Anna's like, I'm going to sell it now, but then getting the positive feedback from people that have it or are excited about it. So in Westfield, we're excited to be implementing that program. So we're going to go to the local realties, do a meet and greet. They'll have a assigned customer service rep. So that rep would know, okay, so East Long Meadows, it's $85. Oh, perfect. Your salesperson, Maria. Oh, great. She referred you. That's awesome. Let me get you set up for service. So again, it's that personal touch. So we are excited to implement that because the realtors are selling all over Western Mass.
Right.
Rollout. Everything went perfect. What are we looking time frame as far as, I mean, I think the poll applications take the longest, and what are we looking at? Up to a couple years?
Right now in West Springfield, we signed a contract in West Springfield in June of 2021. We have still yet to hook up the first customer with the poll application process. We submitted all the poll applications, I believe it was by the end of September of that year. So there is work actually happening. The polls are being replaced. So the poll applications are here would be with Verizon and National Grid. Not sure if that process would be any different, but right now I would say it's a minimum of 2 years out going through the poll application areas. There are some already existing or pre-existing infrastructure here in East Long Meadow, which I know we've been analyzing to see if we can use some of that. I know in one of these examples by the water tower, there's already like a 12 count fiber or 48 count fiber that goes to the water tower. So there was talk about possibly going in, there, I don't know if it's an underground area that's there that you could go and hook up and just say, all right, it's only going to cost a few $100,000 to do this neighborhood. Okay. It's right. You can look at possibilities of using your existing system to start serving some customers so they have an idea of what it is. And then those customers help sell it from that word of mouth to say, wow, this is great. The only downside of that is then those people that live down in the yellow and purple area, Ralph, they're like, hey, when are you coming here? So in Westfield, we had a kind of a marketing competition to say, hey, if you reach 100%, which was really a 50% take rate in a particular fiber service area, you got on the list to get done in that initial, $15 million layout. And that worked fantastic. For example, one kooky guy in my neighborhood had everybody sign up on the first day. So I went out door to door on texting. I was the kooky guy. But anyway,
I think the whole crowd knew that.
I had our area, I think, to like 150% in the first night. So it was like, guess whose area got done first? I was like, yeah, that's great. But again, that then market, what's that?
He lives next door to me. So.
But again, that helped, greatly with the marketing, and it worked. Right. So, I mean, the take rates that we've seen have been great.
I just don't want to push too much marketing and stuff if it's 3 years out or something.
Yeah, I would say set the expectations that we're looking at 2 years and this is the process. Okay. We have to do what's that?
I would say, 2 to 3. Tom, this is, well, it's it's FIFO, so it's first in, first out. So they do have, but you are National Grid, so that is a benefit. But then if there's anything else in their queue, they are going to work on the other applicants first, which Hamden is National Grid.
Nicely.
So Hamden, the governor and lieutenant governor did as well. No, but we will advocate through the utilities, but we do want to be realistic. It is FIFO, the first in, first out. And then Hamden has submitted 6-7 months ago, 6 months ago. So they already have submitted. So if we could
like 20 polls. Cindy, you had a question.
Yes, on the poll applications, does that involve the town at all, like public hearings or anything? Is that done strictly between you and National Grid?
So as long as you establish your license agreement with National Grid and Verizon, then we would submit those poll applications on your behalf. If they're setting a pole in a particular area, I know we talked about Prospect Street for the underground. If we had to set poles, then you would have to do that poll petition.
Public hearing.
If you wanted to move forward with the pilot area for the underground, for the easement, if you can't get through the water filtration and you had to set poles, then that would require the public hearing.
Okay.
but each step of the way of the pole application process, it's us helping, with East Long Meadow. You're sending the check in to for each area that, it's not FSAs with them, but each application is 200 poles. So then that's set up. We organize and run all that for you. We then give it all to you to then apply the check we drew, and all that is paid for direct from East Long Meadow.
Thank you.
And then we would make sure before you pay it, if there's any challenging of the polls, then those are all cleared up. But we would work directly with the town and the treasurer.
Before you pay for any of the construction costs.
And did I read correctly? We're estimating roughly 3,281 poles in town.
Yes.
I got a cheat sheet from before.
I was gonna say, where did you find that?
Got all that good information from Andrew already.
Yes,
Yeah, overhead distribution, there's just over 102 miles. Underground distribution, it's just under 17 miles. Estimated pole count is 3,281. The physical dwelling units, potential units are 5,712. Anticipated take rate that we were working off of was 60%. Anticipated subscribers, that would be 3,427 subscribers. So,
And it is on the slideshow as well.
and if anybody wants to go deeper in the financials, they can see those. But everything as far as the bond payment, I know in talking with Westfield's auditor and treasurer, they're finding that the bond rate right now is around 3.5%. I did the bond rate at 4%, just so you could see that in a little bit more conservative light. So a lot of what we do is conservative. So then when we come in, hopefully under budget, and you say, "Oh, this is great." But I have the numbers here for you for the 60, 50, and 40% take rates.
Any other questions?
Yes.
When it comes to like the differences between like the underground versus overhead, do you find that one area or another is more like error prone or subject to weather more, having issues, that kind of thing?
No, it's more on, the cost is, with, you have to get dig safe and then, trenching and all that. But what we have done for about half of the towns that we serve is a separate agreement for what we call a pole ride out. So every year in the spring, we'll do a pole ride out and we'll check all the trees if there's any growth encroaching. So those trees look like they're going to fall, that could cause, damage. We'll give all that information and the cost to get the maintenance done. So then we'll go and be proactive about tree trimming there. Right now, Asplund is our contractor for that. I don't know if the town DPW has a separate, backup contractor. You can, manage through that, or you can, allow us to manage through that process. So, but yeah, it's like recently we just had a huge outage, like microbursts go through Westfield 2 Thursdays ago. We had, over 6,000 customers down. On the fiber side, I think we lost like a handful. It's like Kevlar coated line, so the line might come down, but typically we're just putting it back up. If the pole breaks, we might just tack it to a tree, for the short term until the pole gets set, just to get it out of the road. One of the things, if there is an accident and a line does come down, please tell the police department and the fire department not to cut it. Just tell them to tack it up on a tree or whatever, because then it gets pretty expensive to replace it. We do have all the splicing equipment, things like that. But that can cause the outage to, take another day or so. If you have a 488 count fiber and putting the super light blue to the super light blue, if you should have brought a sample, but it is literally, smaller than a hair on your head, and trying to put it all together. That's what the group of guys does. That's not me. These aren't strong enough.
And it's threading a lot of needles.
Yeah.
But we would follow the communications. So if Spectrum's overhead, then on the phone, we would say, okay, we would do the walkout with PVC. And then we would just say, so your communications is currently overhead. We're going to follow that same path. Or, it's underground. Okay. Do you know if you have a spare conduit? At that point, we do an on-site consultation. They vet it out. The homeowner agrees. They mark out don't go near the shrubs or whatever it is. And then they take pictures and all of that, and then call in a dig safe that would clear 72 hours later if trenching is required. And then the third appointment is actually your service activation. But it is reliable, like Tom said, and we haven't had any storms and all of that. It's really more on the power of, that's why people lose the internet. So we encourage people to have the UPS backup.
If they have the phone service.
If they have the phone service, yep.
Awesome.
But here you also have better cell reception. Majority of the hill towns, they didn't have the cell reception. So they're fully relying on this media to.
You have not been to our house.
All right.
Have a new tower.
It's not up and running yet.
I know.
That's true.
Okay, we have to thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate
you.
the time.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you all.
Excellent information. We greatly appreciate it.
All right. I only brought 4, I guess. So I'll give one to you and then make copies out to whoever. I know Marilyn wants one.
I'll share it with.
It's a copier before.
I'll scan it and thank you. Thank you, Tom.
Thank
you. Andrew, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Let us
Thank
know.
you. Thank you for your time. Thanks for staying so late.
Yeah. You want Katrina on speaker for the chickens or you?
I can get a dial in from my.
Thank you.
That must be our remote.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Okay, so next up under new business is new business number 3. We have a discussion of a proposed backyard hens zoning bylaw. This was submitted by the zoning enforcement officer. Typically, when a proposal is submitted to us for a zoning bylaw, we refer it to the planning board, let the planning board hold their public hearing on it, make a recommendation, and then it comes back to us. Any thoughts or motions on this? Do we?
I was a little bit surprised to see it in my packet. I wasn't tracking on this. I wasn't aware this was an issue. So personally myself, and I'm obviously self-interested as I own chickens, I would be most comfortable if we could continue this to next meeting before referring to the planning board, just so I can make myself more familiar with what this would do. I understand we would then refer to the planning board, but I didn't have my time to do my homework on this before referring it.
And the whole thing with referring it is only to get their opinion on whether or not it should even go forwards. And then it would come back to us. We would do a first reading, and it would go to planning matters subcommittee before it ever came back. Exactly. So it's coming to you, Matt.
Yeah.
You know, I thought about this initially when I read the bylaw. I thought, gee, I have more questions than answers. What precipitated this bylaw's creation? I put out some feelers to folks who never returned calls. So I don't know. I didn't call you, Matt. I should have. I have no idea how many chickens people have in their yards. I don't know if roosters are a big issue. If you want to grow your chickens, you know, the number of chickens, you need a rooster. But a lot of people just have chickens for eggs and they don't need a rooster, correct?
Correct.
Okay. I just want to get my biology correct. But I just felt that, to squelch it at this level right now, without even sending it to the planning board, I think I would at least like to hear from the building commissioner as to why he spent the time putting this bylaw together. I would be inclined not to either take action on it tonight or just move to send it on to the planning board and let them review through the established process, have their public hearing. People will then have a chance to speak on it. What?
Is Dave here?
He's got his hand up.
Oh, hi, Dave. I didn't know. Of course, I don't keep track of who's there.
I can't see that far.
No, we can't see that far. Sorry.
That's awesome. Dave's asleep.
I'm almost.
I do understand and agree exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, I just feel that people should have an opportunity to weigh in for our benefit as well as for their input. I would be reluctant to end the process tonight with this.
Can you hear me?
Hi,
Yes, Dave, how are you?
Hi there. Yeah, I've been sitting here. It's been, I've been here all this time. So,
Awesome.
I'm happy to answer any questions. I think I just heard one about essentially why, maybe.
Yes.
And within a couple weeks of starting here, and I've been here for about 10 months, I guess, in town. Within a couple weeks, I had 3 phone calls asking questions about backyard hens, essentially. What can we have? So, first of all, the town has no bylaws. There's no information on what a resident can do. There's and a lot of people they want to do the right thing. They don't want to just do something and then find out that, it wasn't allowed. So, that's one of the reasons for this bylaw is to create a framework for people information so people can, if they call the building department, which they do, I can say, okay, this is what you can have. This is how it. The other thing is, I continue to get complaints about roosters. As I wrote in the background, it has to do with people getting roosters and because they don't know they can't, and then waking people up at 4 o'clock in the morning, next door, and then the complaint comes in like, hey, this guy's got a rooster. How did that happen? Because it's generally thought in town when I've asked people, the belief is that you may not have roosters, and that makes some sense, even though there is no place anywhere that says that you may not. So our bylaw is written, as most towns are, to say that if you look at the use table, for instance, it'll say you can do this. You may not have this unless it's on the use table. With signs, it starts out by saying you may not have any signs except these signs, which are allowed. But a lot of people will approach what they may do as I can do it unless I'm told I can't. And it's unfortunate when it gets to that place, when somebody is like complaining about a rooster next door and then finding out that, well, the animal control officer said it was okay, and that's inconsistent. It goes like case by case. There's frustration because then there's nothing that can be done about it. There is nothing in the bylaw to enforce. So how does that work? Now I came here from South Hadley where, and this, I have to admit, this bylaw uses the same number of a maximum of 12, a small flock of hens. Comes from South Hadley. It worked quite well there. I didn't come up with it there, but I did have to enforce it. And as I said, it worked well. This bylaw is written specifically to say, you can do by right. So if you actually read the bylaw, you don't have to ask permission from anybody unless you're on a lot that's under 10,000 square feet. In other words, you just read, hey, I can have a flock of hens. Now I can have fresh eggs. I can do this at home. I don't have to. There's somebody who had a small flock of hens for a number of years. Kids love it. Kids. I did it mostly for my kids in the beginning, but it did provide eggs for the household, and it was a great learning experience for kids to go out to the hen house and gather eggs, and it's very exciting for them. this bylaw is written so that no other communication really has to take place. A resident can read the bylaw and say, this is what I can do by right. There's no permission from anybody. It also provides a framework for enforcement when there are complaints. You know, for instance, right now there is a person who lives next door to a man who, or a person who built their hen house and roosters, too, is from what I've heard, right up against the fence. So it's not even, you know, it's on this person's fence, and he's been complaining about it. And there's really, you know, nothing I can do as a zoning enforcement official because there's nothing in the zoning bylaws about it. So anyway, that's where it came from. I'm trying to solve a problem here and provide information for residents so people know what they may do by right. And it provides a framework for addressing complaints. That's really what it's about. Anyway, that's it. Yeah.
Did you know that a rooster bylaw had come in front of the town previously at the annual town meeting and was overwhelmingly voted down?
I did not know that. No.
Okay. Yeah, and I mean, I know everyone complains about a rooster because of the noise they make, but when it went to town meeting was very adamant that the thought was this was a right to farm community, and a rooster is a farm animal, and people are allowed to have them.
Where'd he go?
Do we lose him?
He hung up on me. But with the explanation and the thought, and I do think it's something to think about, that, hey, at least this way here, it puts something in the bylaw, which means, yes, I am allowed to do this. I think it's worth sending to the planning board and get their opinion on it. And then we have a choice at that point, whether we want to move forwards or not.
I guess my primary concern is that there are definitely a lot of people with more than 12 chickens in town.
Oh, absolutely.
And before I see this sent to the planning board, I would like to have conversations with stakeholders that will be affected, because there's people with a lot more than 12 chickens.
Yeah, I wonder where you got 12.
I think generally speaking, it's probably like reasonable coming from like a outside point of view.
What it says is you can have 12 as of right. You can have more than that, but it would be under a special permit. So you'd go to the planning board to receive permission. And I guess at that point, they're going to look at, well, where do you live? You know, do you live in, you know, the middle of the town with everyone around you, or do you live out with us where the neighbors can't hear the chickens?
And, you know, before the planning board, there's the possibility that they might make some suggestions, rewrite what is here, and perhaps establish criteria, as Mr. Flater just mentioned in Westfield, where they do it according to zone. Maybe 10,000 square feet, you can have 6 chickens.
Got it.
You know, and then, you know, zone, that would be zone C. And then do it that way. I don't want it to become overly complicated, though, because I think it's a use that is part and parcel to our town. But I also feel that I think about, you know, if it's a small lot and you've got all of a sudden a number of chickens, you know, does the Board of Health keep an eye on these things? Is that important? I don't know. I don't raise chickens. I don't know what health concerns occur as a result of chickens. I do know some friends of ours got some additional animals in their pen, which didn't belong there because they had chickens. So, you know, and I don't want to plant that seed any more than that, but I just feel that perhaps we need to think about a little bit more. I don't want to say control, just influence about how this issue plays out in town.
It almost seems like to me like we're kind of just codifying it. or codifying something so that, there's at least at a minimum kind of like a starting off. It's not good when you don't really have anything kind of on the books where it's at least, okay, we have something, and then, we would be able to play with it and look at it, have both this body and then also the planning board, which kind of will be the ones who would also be involved in, the bylaw or making sure it's implemented properly. Maybe it would just be better to have something kind of in the books. But I do understand. I don't want it so it's like all these people have had, all of these chickens or whatnot or hens over the years, and then just it suddenly changes overnight. I don't think anybody probably wants that to happen here. But something so that we can at least point to something in the bylaws that's more definitive and more codifies things.
So I guess the question tonight is do we want to put this off until September before we send it to the planning board? Or
I'm okay with pushing it off for a month if that.
I understand the need to codify it. I found when I was getting chickens, I was kind of confused by the lack of.
Well, that's a
rules,
good point.
right? Yeah. But I just think if we send it to the planning board, a lot of people that have chickens aren't going to be aware of it until after the meeting happens, which is an issue we have where planning board meetings happen. Folks don't know they're happening. You're going to have someone with 30 plus chickens or more, and they're not going to be where the planning board meeting happens. And then let's say they recommend it. And I understand it's a lengthy process and it'll come in front of us and it'll go to planning matters, which I'm on. But I would just like a month to kind of go out, hit the pavement, talk to some people and come back.
I don't have a problem with putting this on next month's agenda. Does anyone else? I need to.
On this long without it.
Yeah.
I think a month, yeah, probably.
Am I supposed to make the motion?
So I would just suggest a motion to postpone the decision or react upon this in September, however you want to look at it. Table it.
Okay.
You just table it.
Since Matt and I have the motion. I will make a motion to table any action on the backyard hen zoning bylaw until discussion at the September meeting.
A second.
All those in favor? Well, no, sorry.
Well, no, she's not here. I think we.
Oh.
So I think.
Oh, we lost Kathy a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kathy is no longer in the meeting, so we no longer have a. I think yes, by a vote. So all those in favor of tabling it till September, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, that matter is tabled. Discussion of recreation facilities bylaw amendment. Don, is Bailey in the audience or did he go to sleep?
Well, name is on the
Fell from here.
Haley, are you awake? I'll tell you, I could use a nap. Let's see. This is recreation. This is really.
Hello.
Hi, Bailey. How are you?
You look bright.
I am great.
Yes, you look at. I like the suit.
Thank you. Sorry, I don't have video, but I am here.
That's okay.
We apologize for being so late.
No problem. No need to apologize.
Do you want to just give us a quick overview of this recreation facilities bylaw? It looked very straightforward.
Yeah. So it's really just a small change, just kind of changing where it would be a permitted use. And the big reason for that is because we actually have a couple, or we have had a couple proposed, I guess, fitness centers, not really recreational facilities. And when I first started looking at this, I was really going to separate the two uses and establish a use for fitness centers, but I didn't really see the need to do so. After looking at all of the definitions and uses that we already have established, it seemed that this would kind of be appropriate to kind of just use the same language or the same definition. And then the only clarifying thing within the definitions is just kind of changing the one definition from like recreational to just recreation to be consistent with all the others.
So my question was going to be, do you consider a fitness center a recreational facility?
And within the definition as it's presented, a recreation facility, commercial would fit within at least what has been proposed, and what I would say any modern fitness facility would be. It's I don't have a definition in front of me, but yeah, as far as I'm concerned, that would fit.
Okay. Marilyn?
I think we did consider, I mean, I don't know if Health Tracks is considered a fitness facility. I don't know what all activities take place there, but when that zoning took place, it was fine. And I'm fine with this.
Yep.
The only, and it's just an observation, I think the larger change is that you are allowing a recreation facility in the industrial garden park where previously it has not been allowed. And I've always wondered why, and I've been on the planning board, and I think, Bailey, that there was just the perception of trying to protect the industrial garden park land for industrial uses, and to then dilute further, what we could put in there would use up the land for something else. But I don't see that as a real problem now. I think that was the philosophy back then.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. I would just like to add one thing that I do know some history of the 330 Chestnut parcel being used with recreational fields as well. So I just thought, with that in mind, and I do know that there are a couple of businesses that have existed for a while that I would classify under that use. So
I agree. I don't have any problem with it. Okay.
Any other questions for Bailey? Then I would entertain a motion.
Make a motion to refer the proposed recreational facilities bylaw amendment to the planning board for recommendation to the town council.
I second.
Motion made and seconded. Any question?
Bailey, is this on your agenda for next week?
yeah, it already is. We sent out the public hearing notice with a couple others that I have. So.
Okay, good. Okay.
That's speeding the process up.
Yep.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, you're all set, Bailey, there. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good night. Thank you.
Thanks, Bailey.
Oh, God.
That's why I said that.
Oh, my gosh. You guys want to skip to the releasing of the executive session minutes first?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
That way we don't forget.
Yeah.
We're not gonna let you forget.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if it's okay with everyone, I'd prefer to do the executive session minutes first. Let's just take a quick look at it. Do we need a motion to go out of order?
Sure, I move to what number are we?
E6.
E6, and then return to our regular order.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay. So we have a list here. I did a spread. Well, actually, Jeannie did the spreadsheet of, yes, our executive session minutes. And on the far right column, after talking with our town attorney, I have listed ones that we believe should be released. And then there's some listed that we should retain and some that we should retain indefinitely. So unless there's any specific questions on any of them, I think we can probably do a broad motion to approve the release of all those executive session minutes that say release. We can do it by the dates if you want.
No, I think the broad is fine because technically.
As presented.
Jeannie?
The motion, actually, I use the word disclosure because that mimics the language in the open meeting law.
So that we can.
The release, right, and like the motion say, and as presented, so
Okay,
you have a copy of the motion there.
we do. Would Matt like to read it?
So we're good? We're good to go? All right. I make a motion to approve the disclosure of the executive session minutes as presented.
I'll second.
Awesome. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
I'm going to
Okay.
abstain just because I wasn't a part of any of them.
Okay. So Jeannie, you can update your list and it will drastically reduce.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. I like that.
Now you put it off and here we are.
And now we will go back to a discussion of a proposed additional bylaw, chapter 500, fee, fine and penalty schedule, first reading.
Awesome.
So Anna,
I don't know.
and how many pages did you say there was? 31 or something?
37 pages.
So I have been threatening to bring this forwards for months and I've finally compiled it. I will say this is not even an initial. This is a second compilation. I do expect that submit it to the bylaw subcommittee because some of the departments have suggested different ways to allocate fees. And I would like the bylaw subcommittee to give their recommendations on it. In the meantime, how would we like to go about reading it? John, I think you should
start on one.
Okay, let's start down here and let's go.
So wait, I'm sorry. We're reading the entire.
Yes.
Yes. So
What you got yourself in?
Yeah.
Hand it over.
Start on one.
So how many pages are you reading?
she's going to start with 2 pages.
I just do them at once.
Top in the bucket.
It is.
You have, oh, you've got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
You have it in front of you?
I don't know.
It's okay. I'm going to divide mine up.
Jeannie's got. Oh, he's dividing them up anyway.
Okay.
Jimmy.
My printer did not have the bandwidth.
I don't need it. I have my whole, oh, all right, just to
These are
read.
just the ones you're going to read. So
Okay. How do we know what order we're in?
because we're going to start there and go this way.
Okay, all right.
Can I start?
Yes.
Yeah.
Get your,
Well, we're starting
your
with 2.
reading voice.
Up the list.
Oh,
Okay, let's start with those. And once we get to the end, we'll start again.
I can go.
Yes, please.
Chapter 500, fee, fine, and penalty schedule. Adopted by the town council of the town of East Long Meadow, April 12th, 2022, amendments noted where applicable. Subsection 500-1, schedule of town fees, fines, and penalties. Subsection 500-2, assessors department fees, fines, penalties. Subsection 500-3, building department fees, fines, penalties. 500-3A, do I have to say subsection every time? Okay. 500-3A, general fees. 500-3B, residential building permit fees. 500-3C, commercial building permit fees. 500-3D, residential electrical permit fees. 500-3E, commercial electrical permit fees. 500-3F, plumbing permit fees. 500-3G, gas permit fees. Subsection 500-4, Council of Aging Department fees, fines, penalties. Subsection 500-5, DPW Department fees, fines, penalties. 500-5A, general fees. 500-5B, life cycle maintenance fees. 5C, sanitary sewer service fees. 5D, stormwater service fees. 5E, transfer station fees. 5F, water service fees. 5G, water, sewer, and stormwater rates. Subsection 500-6, fire department fees, fines, penalties. Subsection 500-7, health department fees, fines, penalties. Subsection 500-8, library fees, fines, penalties. 500-9, local licensing authority fees, fines, penalties. Oh, sorry, I thought it was the same. 500-10, planning and community development department fees, fines, penalties. 500-10A, conservation commission fees. 500-10B, planning department fees. 500-10C, zoning board of appeals fees. 500-11, police department fees, fines, penalties. 500-12, town clerk fees, fines, penalties. Please contact individual departments for additional information or explanation of fees, fines, and penalties.
All right, subsection 500-1, schedule of town fees, fines, and penalties. Item/service fee reference, general penalty, bylaw violations, fee $200. Reference subsection 1-2. Item/service, nuisances, administrative fee for correcting nuisance vegetation violations. Fee $200, subsection 376-2. Yeah, I know. Subsection 500-2, assessors department fees, fines, and penalties. Item/service, abutters list, standard list of abutters. Fee $25. Manually generated requests, standard fee $25 plus $1 per additional abutter. Fee $25 plus $1 per abutter.
That's easy.
Yeah, now 501.
Okay, subsection 500-3 is building department fees, fines, and penalties. 500-3A is general fees, fines, and penalties. Mass State Building Code 780 CMR violations. The fee is $1,000 maximum a day. The reference is Mass General Law, Chapter 148-34C. Zoning bylaw violations. The fee is $200. It's E Code subsection 1-2 and Mass General Law, Chapter 40A. 500-3 building department fees and fines continued. 500-3B is residential building permit fees. Residential building permit fees. New single family dwelling includes attached garage, finished basements, and bonus rooms is 50 cents per square foot. Multifamily and condos, the fee is 50 cents per square foot. Foundation only, 30 cents per square foot, $50 minimum. Alterations and renovations, 25 cents per square foot, $75 minimum. Swimming pool in ground, the fee is $100. Swimming pool above ground, the fee is $60. Solar panels, the fee is $50. Detached garage is 50 cents per square foot with $100 minimum fee. Storage shed and accessory structure over 200 square feet. The fee is 25 cents per square foot, $50 minimum. Masonry chimney, $50 fee. Wood stove, pellet burning stove, the fee is $45 each. Siding, roofing, windows, and doors, the fee is $50 each. Residential building permit fees continued. Open porches or decks, the fee is 25 cents a square foot, $50 minimum. Demolition, 10 cents a square foot, $50 minimum. Fences over 7 foot high, the fee is $50. Pool fences not associated with a building permit, the fee is $50. Mechanical permits, metal, the fee is $35. Insulation, the fee is $35. Retaining walls, 48-inch high from bottom of the footing or greater, the fee is $100. Temporary trailer, the fee is $100. Signs, the fee is $50 per sign. Replacement copy of a building permit, the fee is $25. Reactivation of an expired building permit, the fee is 1/2 the cost of the original permit. Reinspection fee is $50. Work started prior to applying for a permit, the fee is double the permit fee. And then stop work order violation, the fee is $150.
Okay, building department fees continued. subsection 503C, commercial building permit fees. New building, commercial, industrial, business, assembly, mercantile, or hazardous. Fee is 40 cents per square foot, $100 minimum. Commercial additions and alterations, fee is $5 per thousand valuation, $100 per minimum. Commercial roofing, 5 cents per square foot, $100 minimum. Solar panels, $2 per thousand valuation, $100 minimum. Storage shed and accessory structures, 120 square feet or greater, 25 cents per square foot, $50 minimum. Mechanical / sheet metal permits, $3 per thousand valuation, $100 minimum. Siding and window and door, $75 each. Open porches or decks, 25 cents per square foot, $50 minimum. Demolition, 10 cents per square foot, $50 minimum. Fences 7 feet high or greater, $50. Insulation, $50. Retaining walls, 48 inches high from the bottom of the footing or greater, $100. Tent, $50 per tent. Automatic fire sprinkler systems, $3 per thousand valuation, $100 minimum. Excuse me. Temporary trailer, $100. Certificate of inspection, $60 per certificate. Signs, $50 per sign. Replacement copy of building permit, $25. Reactivation of an expired building permit, half the original fee. Reinspection, $50. Work started without a building permit, double the fee. Stop work order violation, $150.
500-3D residential electric permit fine fees. Accessory buildings, garages, pool houses, sheds, etc. 2 inspections, $100 up to 1,000 square feet, $12.50 each. Additional 1,000 square feet. Residential PV or alternate source systems up to $10,000, $150. Over 10,000, 0.015 cents per watt, includes plan review and inspections. Major appliances, for example, air conditioners, 1 inspection, $50. Gas burners, 1 inspection, $50. Above ground pool, 1 inspection, $50. In-ground pool, 4 inspections, $150. Solar panels, $50. Smoke detectors or CO detectors per permit, 1 inspection, $50. Residential alarm systems, CCTV, voice data, low voltage, 2 inspections, $60. Portable or pad mounted generators, $50 per 100 amps. Residential no building permit, $50 per inspection. Temporary wiring inspection for meter set, $100. New service for new house or change includes trench inspection. Service 2 inspections, $50 per 100 amps. 500-3E commercial electrical permit fees, fines, and penalties. New buildings, additions, and alterations with the building permit, $100 plus 10 cents per square foot. Commercial repairs, wiring for renovations, lighting, retrofits, comfort control system, communication systems, 2 inspections, $100 first floor plus $30 each additional floor. Commercial fire and security alarm systems, CCTV, voice data, low voltage, 2 inspections, $100. Commercial PV or alternate source systems, $100 plus 15 cents per watt, includes plan review and multiple inspections. Pole lights, $100 plus $20 per pole. Sign wiring, $50 per inspection. Setting up new service, $100 plus $50 per 100 amps. Service change for commercial alterations, $100 plus $50 per 100 amps. Additional inspections and re-inspections, $50 each.
Okay, so 500-3 building department fees, fines, penalties. Under item and service 500-3F plumbing permit fees, fines, and penalties. New homes in addition, 3 inspections, $75 plus $8 per fixture. Dishwasher and disposal count as 1 fixture. New multifamily condos, re-inspection $75 plus $8 per fixture. Residential additions and alterations, 2 inspections, $75 plus $8 per fixture. Sewer connections of residential and commercial, 1 inspection, $50. Repairs and replacements of water heaters, 1 inspection, $50. Lawn sprinklers, 1 inspection, $50. Backflow for water treatment, 1 inspection, also $50. All commercial inspections, $105 plus $10 per fixture. Note additional inspections, $50 each. And then 500-3G gas permit fees, fines, and penalties. Residential, no matter fixtures, 1 inspection, $50. Commercial, industrial, public, 1 inspection, $50 plus $10 per fixture. No additional inspections, $50 each.
Okay, 500-4 council on aging fees, fines, and penalties. Item service lunch fee, $3 per meal. Meals on Wheels, $3 per meal. Fitness cards for EL residents, 20 visits, $10. Fitness cards for non-residents, 20 visits, $15. Events, programs varies. Transportation in town of origination, $1 each way. Transportation out of town of origination, $3 each way. Building rental, $50 per use. Exercise classes, 6 classes, $10. Breakfast, 50 cents to $1.50 per item. Newsletter advertisement business card size ad, $400 per year. Electronic signage for a full page slide, $600. Electronic signage for a half page slide, $400. Food pantry t-shirt, $10. Vendor fees, holiday craft fair, and farmers market, 25 to 35 per vendor. 500-5 W department fees, fines, and penalties. 500-5A general fees, fines, and penalties. Drain layers license or renewal, $50. Trench permit, $50. Rail trail connection, $150. Permit to open public way, $200. Room and seed other than water and sewer entrance actual cost. Other than water and sewer entrance actual cost. Paper street development submission fee, $250 plus $1 per foot of developed roadway. Utility mark outs, $100. The reference is this fee only applies to contractors or utility companies. Engineering inspection rate, 2-hour minimum, $50 per hour plus IRS standard rate mileage. The reference for that is time and a half or double time may apply.
Subsection 500-5, DPW department fees, fines, and penalties. Subsection 500-5B, DPW life cycle maintenance fees. Cost of area being disturbed. Fee is L times W times UC times PCI equals LCMC. Current unit cost fee is $4 per square foot. 5-year roadway moratorium fee. Is it less than 1 year?
Less than 1 year.
Less than 1 year is $2,500. Less than 2 years is $2,000. Less than 3 years is $1,500. Less than 4 years is $1,000. And less than 5 years is $500. The DPW reserves the right to waive the LCMC or moratorium excavation fees if it is determined to be in the best interest of the town.
Actually, I need to correct that. Those are all greater than. So it's greater than 1 year, greater than 2, greater than 3, greater than 4. No.
Okay.
Because the amounts were all correct.
Okay. My bad. Subsection 500-5C, sanitary sewer service fees. Sewer connection license per dwelling, $1,500. Inspection fee per dwelling, $50. Service installation, street only, $500. References installation by town. Sewer block fee is $125 minimum charge. References Betterment Properties. Sewer availability charge per year is $30. Reference Betterment Properties. Legal hookup to sewer fee is $500. Reference Betterment Properties. Camera system before acceptance fee is $1,500. References Subdivisions. Vacuum or air testing of sewer manholes, $150 minimum charge. References inspections by town. Sewer manholes and inverts inspections, $150 minimum charge. References inspections by town. Sewer tie-in inspection, $150 minimum charge. References inspections by town. Camera of sewer system over 500 linear feet. Fee is $1,000 and references inspections by town. And camera of sewer system under 500 linear feet is a fee of $500 and references and inspections by town.
Okay, subsection 500-5D, stormwater service charges. Stormwater connection license per dwelling, fee is $50. Inspection fee per dwelling, $50. Storm drain entrance fee, if available, per building is $200. Illegal hookup to stormwater is $300. Camera system before acceptance is $1,500. The reference is subdivisions. Vacuum or air testing of stormwater manholes is $150 minimum charge. The reference is inspections by town. Stormwater manholes and inverts inspection, $150 minimum charge, inspections by town. Stormwater tie-in inspection, $150 minimum charge, that's inspections by town. Camera of stormwater system over 500 linear feet is $1,000, inspections by town. Camera of stormwater system under 500 linear feet is $500, inspection by town. Small pusher camera of stormwater system up to 180 linear feet, the fee is $250. Subsection 500-5E, transfer station fees. Residents only dump sticker for allowable items, the fee is $50. The reference is yearly. Landscapers, grass and leaves only. The fee is $50 per pickup truck load. The reference is must purchase coupons. Landscapers, grass and leaves only. The fee is $75 per dump truck load. And the reference is, again, must purchase coupons. Bulk items such as a couch, a rug, a table, etc., is $10 per item. Must also have a yearly sticker. It's $15 per item for a mattress or box spring. It's $20 per carload or $50 per pickup truck load. Electronics disposal. Small freon item is $25. A large refrigerator is $50. Computer to monitor is $20. A TV 19 inches or smaller is $20. TV large or console is $35. Computers are $15. Then items for sale, wood chips, $10 per truckload, 2 cubic yards. So it's 2 cubic yards and you must self-load. Compost is $20 per truckload. That's for 2 cubic yards and you must self-load. And loam is $25 per truckload, which is 2 cubic yards. You must self-load.
Subsection 500-5F, water service fees. Water entrance license per dwelling, $1,500. Inspection fee per dwelling, $50. Service installation deposit, $500. Reference installation by town. Water service renewal deposit, $500. Water meter tested, $150 minimum charge. Reference cost plus 30%. Water service entrance with mole, $30 per foot. Tapping of main for 1-inch tap, $300. Hydro testing, $500 plus time. Water turned on and off, $50. Additional service charge. Per inch of pipe diameter, $15. Double outlet stand pipe wet and each hydrant, $25. Water entrance for fire service, $1,500. Backflow device inspections, $100. Backflow device, new device application / registration, $75. Illegal hookup to water, $500. Meter tampering, $500. Water meter installation, actual cost, reference, time and materials. Temporary water meter connection, $100. Reference, fee plus water usage. Hydro testing fire sprinkler system, $500. Reference, fee plus time. Hydrant fire flow testing, each location, $200. Flushing injection of CL2 and filling mains, $1,500. Hydro testing of water mains, $500. Water system tie into existing main, $500. On.
500-5G water, sewer, and stormwater rates. Water standard rate, $4 per 100 cubic feet. Water agricultural rate, $3.15 per 100 cubic feet. Sewer rate, $4.10 per 100 cubic feet. Stormwater rates, with land use codes being the reference. Single family home, $32 with code 101. Residential condos billable, $32 with code 102. 2 homes on a single parcel, $42 with code 109. 2 family homes, $82 with code 104. 3 family homes, $82, code 105. 4 to 8 unit apartments, $82 with code 111. Apartments greater than 8, $510 with code 112. Congregate living facilities, $510 with code 125. Farms, $42 with codes 712V, 714V, 715, 717V, and 719V. Mixed use parcels, $60 with codes 13 and chapter land residential. Golf courses, $550 with code 38. And we have stormwater rates continued, 500-5G, mixed residential, $60 with codes 16, 17, and 18. Towers, $110 with codes 431 and 431V. Vacant industrial, $32 with codes 440, 441, and 442. We have commercial. I assume all 3 of these go to the same way that's reading.
Yeah.
Because they're kind of all shared. So we'll say commercial and industrial, mixed use, commercial, residential, predominantly commercial, and commercial condos all have a fee of impervious surface less than 1 acre, $200, greater than or equal to 1 acre but less than 2 acres, $250 per acre, greater than or equal to 2 acres but less than 5 acres, $350 per acre, greater than or equal to 5 acres but less than 10 acres is $450 per acre, and greater than or equal to 10 acres is $550 per acre, with codes 300s, 400s, 31, 343, 962, 954, 962V, 960, 957, and 961R. Exempt parcels residential is $42 with 900 is the code. Exempt parcels residential vacant is $32 with codes 900s. Then exempt parcels non-residential impervious surface less than 1 acre, $200, greater than or equal to 1 acre but less than 2 is $250 per acre. Greater than or equal to 2 acres but less than 5 is $350 per acre. Greater than or equal to 5 acres but less than 10 acres is $450 per acre. And greater than or equal to 10 acres is $550 per acre with codes 900s.
Good job.
Impressive. Fees, fines, and penalties, permits and inspections, any permit or inspection, $50 fee. Reference MGL Chapter 148, subsection 10A. Under ambulance service, BLS, emergency and non-emergency transport, $1,298.03. BLS emergency transport, Medicare, $435.93. BLS non-emergency Medicare, $272.45. ALS 1 emergency / non-emergency transport, $2,072.86. ALS 1 emergency transport Medicare, $517.65. ALS 1 non-emergency transport under Medicare, $326.93. ALS 2 emergency transport, $3,150.13. ALS Emergency Transport Medicare, $749.24. Mileage per mile, $35. Mileages per mile under Medicare, $8.40. For 500-7, Health Department fees, fines, penalties, food service, food establishment, retail, food service, bakery, supermarket, under 200,000. Under fee, $200. Food establishment, retail, food service, bakery, supermarket, 200,000 to 1 million, under reference fee, $500. A food establishment, retail, food service, bakery, supermarket, over 1 million as a reference, that fee is $700. Plan review, new food service establishment, that is a fee of $100. Fats, oil, and grease install review, that is a fee of $75. Residential food permit, that is a fee of $200. Catering, that is a fee of $200. Frozen dessert, that is a fee of $25. Hot dog cart, that is a fee of $150. Milk and cream, that is a fee of $10. Mobile food truck, that is a fee of $200. Temporary food service, reference being for 1 day, that is a $50 fee. Excuse me. Temporary food service, 2 to 3 days as a reference, that is a $100 fee. Temporary food service, that is reference of 4 to 14 days, that is a $175 fee. Farmers market, and this is a reference of per market, that is a $75 fee.
Health and sanitation, tobacco is $300. Tanning is $300. Recreational camps, $250. Swimming pool, spa, wading pool, $325. Body art establishment and practitioner. Body art establishment, $250. Practitioner, $100. Apprentice, $50. Probationary, $50. Guest/temporary, $50. Environmental. Disposal works plan review, $200. Disposal works construction, $150. Soil suitability site assessment for the first 2 hours, $150. Each additional hour after the first 2 is $50. Septic hauler, $150. Septic system installer, $300. Solid waste hauler, $350. One-time residential bulk pickup, $50. Outdoor wood boilers, $50. Late filing fee per week, $50. 500-8, library fees, fines and penalties. Copies, first floor, 15 cents per page. Copies, second floor, 25 cents per page. Printing, second floor, black and white, 15 cents per page. Printing, second floor, color, 25 cents per page. Fax, second floor, $1 per page. Lost items, varies by item. Out-of-state cardholders, $38 yearly. Replacement library cards,
$2. Subsection 500-9, local licensing authority fees, fines, and penalties. Entertainment, 1 day entertainment license, $50. Entertainment license, $75. Sunday entertainment license, $75. Automatic amusement license per device. Do I read it if it's red? Yep. Yeah. Per device, $75. Common Vitular? Vitular. All right. Silent C. Common vitular license, $50. Used car license class 1, $125. Used car license class 2, $125. Annual liquor license, reference E code chapter 310-9. 1 day liquor license, $65. Restaurant all alcoholic beverages, $2,200. Restaurant beer and wine, $1,000. Package store all alcoholic beverages, $2,000. Package store beer and wine, $1,000. Farmer series pouring permit, $500. Club license, $650. Veterans club license, $650. Liquor license penalties, reference E code subsection 310-8. License to store inflammables. License to use land for the keeping, storage, or sale of petroleum fluids or compounds for resale or other commercial use. There's a fee of $45 for not more than 1,000 gallons or 8,000 pounds. There's a fee of $75 for not more than 5,000 gallons or 40,000 pounds. There's a fee of $105 for not more than 10,000 gallons or 80,000 pounds. There's a fee of $135 for not more than 30,000 gallons or 240,000 pounds. There's a fee of $165 for not more than 100,000 gallons or 800,000 pounds. There's a fee of $240 for not more than 200,000 gallons or 1,600,000 pounds. And there's a fee of $330 for more than 200,000 gallons or 1,600,000 pounds.
Okay, 500-10, Planning and Community Development Department fees, fines and penalties. 500-10A, Conservation Commission. Category 1, work on single family lot, addition, pool, etc., $110 fee. Site work without a house, $110 fee. Control vegetation, $110 fee. Resource improvement, $110 fee. Work on septic system separate from house, $110. Monitor and well activities minus roadway, $110. New agricultural or aquacultural projects, $110. Category 2, construction of single family house, $500. Parking lot, $500. Beach nourishment, $500. Electric generating facility activities, $500. Inland limited projects minus road crossing and agriculture, $500. Beach crossing for driveway to single family house, $500. This is continued 500-10A Conservation Commission fees. Category 2 continued. Each project source, storm drain discharge, $500. Control vegetation and development, $500. Water level variations, $500. Any other activity not in category 1, 3, 4, 5, or 6 is $500. Water supply exploration is $500. Category 3, site preparation for development beyond notice of intent scope is $1,050. Each building for development, including site, is $1,050. Road construction, not crossing or driveway, $1,050. Hazardous cleanup, $1,050. And water supply development, $1,050.
Continuation, subsection 510A, Conservation Commission fees. Category 4, each crossing for development or commercial road, $1,450. Dam, sluiceway, tide gate, parentheses, safety work, $1,450. Landfills operations / closures, $1,450. Sand and gravel operations, $1,450. Railroad line construction, $1,450. Bridge, $1,450. Hazardous waste alterations to resource areas, $1,450. Dredging, $1,450. Package treatment plant and discharge, $1,450. Airport tree clearing, $1,450. Oil and or hazardous material release response actions, $1,450. Category 5, work on docks, piers, revetments, dikes, etc., coastal or inland. $4 per linear feet. Reference, total fee not less than $100 or more than $2,000. Category 6, boundary delineations for bordering vegetated wetlands. Fee, $2 per linear feet. Reference, not to exceed $200 for activities associated with a single family house or I don't know. It's 2,000.
Yeah, I know. $2,000 for all other activities.
Okay, note that correction, $2,000.
200, I'm not sure where.
Or 200, okay.
Should be 2.
We'll have to question that. Okay, all right. And so moving along, subsection 510B, planning departments, definitive subdivision plan review, subdivision SD-D. Fee $250 plus $30 per lot, plus $2 per abutter notice. Preliminary subdivision plan review, subdivision/P. Fee is $400 plus $200 per abutter notice. Approval not required. A&R review, fee is $70. Site plan review, parentheses site, $250 plus $2 per abutter notice. Special permit, parentheses SP, fee is $250 plus $2 per abutter notice. Site plan review waiver, parentheses Form W, $25 fee. Parking plan review, $70. Zoning verification requests, $30 per property.
All right. 500-10C zoning board of appeals, zoning variance ZV, $100. Administrative appeals CAA, $100. 500-11 police department fees, fines and penalties. Massachusetts LTC applications renewals, $100. Reference MGL.
All right, 500-12 town clerk fees, fines, penalties. Town clerk fees, reference 135-4. For amendments or correcting errors in a record of birth, $25 fee. For furnishing a certificate of a birth, $15 fee. For filing a certificate of a person conducting business under any title other than the person's real name, $40. For filing by a person conducting business under any title other than the person's real name of a statement of change of residence or of discontinuance, retirement, or withdrawal from or of change of location of such business, $20 fee. For recording the name and address, the date and number of the certificate issued to a person registered for the practice of podiatry in the Commonwealth, $20. For amendments or correcting errors in a record of death, $25. For furnishing a certificate of death, $15. For entering a notice of intention of marriage, $40. For entering a certificate of marriage filed by persons married out of the Commonwealth, $40. For issuing a certificate of marriage, $15. For finishing an abstract copy of record of marriage, $10. For amendments or correcting errors in a record of marriage, $25. For recording a certificate of registration granted to a person to engage in the practice of optometry or issuing a certified copy thereof, $20 fee. For recording the name of the owner of a certificate of registration as a physician or osteopath in the Commonwealth, $20 fee. For recording an order granting locations of poles, piers, abutments, or conduits, alterations or transfers thereof, an increase in the number of wires and cable or attachments under the provisions of MGL, Chapter 166, Section 22, $40 fee. For recording a deed or lot or plot in a public burial place or cemetery, $5 fee. Raffle permit, $10 fee. Street list, $12 fee. Voting precincts map, $10 fee. Dog license, $10 fee. Dog license of non-sprayed or not neutered, $20 fee. Dog licensed after due date, additional $25 fee. Reference subsection 315-3. Kennel license. 1 to 4 dogs, $30 fee. 5 to 10 dogs, $60 fee. More than 10 dogs, $100 fee. Redemption of impounded dog, $25 fee. Reference subsection 315-2. Redemption of dog impounded for violations of animal control bylaw, $25 fee. Reference 315-2. Dogs licensed after due date, additional $25 fee. Reference 315-3.
Thank you all. Wake up, Anna. No, the bylaw is extremely long. I think it's important to get this into E-code. So in the future, people can go online and just type in fees and everything will be there as far as what the town's going to charge. So again, I know it was long, but I do appreciate it.
It's a lot of work, Ralph.
Yeah. Okay, we are on E5. I would entertain a motion for this.
I move to refer the proposed additional bylaws after 500 fee, fine, and penalty schedule to the bylaw review committee for recommendation.
I'll second that. And
thank you, Marilyn. Having a motion made and seconded, is there any other discussion on it? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Is there any opposed? That has been referred. Okay, the action items for next meeting, we have just continued the proposed hen bylaw to our next meeting. Our next meeting will include, the school. That'll be the September meeting for the vote on the school, so Kim will be here for that. Was there anything I missed with that? Hearing none.
Yeah.
And he will also be at the next. Yeah, that's a long while ago. So with that, is there anyone that would make a motion to adjourn?
I happily make a motion to adjourn.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. We are adjourned.
When's the second reading?